says there are areas of agreement on Iran.
We've really done some wonderful things, I believe. We did discuss Iran. We feel very similar to Iran. We want that to end. We don't want them to have a nuclear weapon. We want the straits open. We're closing it now. I mean, they closed it, and we closed it on top of them. But we want the straits open.
Not too long ago, this would have been unthinkable. A CIA director paying a visit to Cuba. But John Ratcliffe has done just that.
The Cuban state media announced that high-level officials from the Cuban government had met with Ratcliffe, an extremely unusual visit by the head of the CIA to Cuba. The Cuban officials said that they had told the U.S. government that Cuba presented no kind of security threat to the United States whatsoever. Cuba is dealing with the consequences of U.S. sanctions and specifically a very, very serious energy crisis that right now has almost a virtual shutdown of the economy because of an absolute lack of fuel now almost, according to the latest reports.
The BBC's Luis Fajardo. The Supreme Court has granted women continued access to the abortion drug mifepristone at pharmacies or through the mail without an in-person visit to a doctor. The High Court is allowing it while a lawsuit plays out in the courts. A lower court ruling would require women to see a doctor in person while halting delivery of mifepristone through the mail. On Wall Street, stock futures in the red. The Dow futures down 371 points. NASDAQ futures off 493. More on these stories at townhall.com.
If you want unlimited talk, text, and data on a super fast network, Big Wireless will sell it to you right now for as little as $70 a month. Or you can buy it from Pure Talk for half of that. I'm talking about unlimited talk, text, and data for just $34.99 a month. But wait, there's more. When you switch to Pure Talk, you'll be switching to an American wireless company that's committed to keeping 100% of its customer service in this country. I appreciate that. In fact, that's why I switched. I also appreciate the way they support our vets and our skilled workforce. Dial pound 250, say micro, and get unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data for just $34.99 a month. That's pound 250 micro. Stop paying twice what you need to pay for the service you want and switch to an American wireless company that actually stands for something. Pure Talk.
Political turmoil in the UK. Prime Minister Keir Starmer is on shaky ground.
Britain's prime minister is clinging to power after a member of his cabinet resigned, saying he didn't have confidence in the boss. Now, Wes Streeting is the health secretary, and that's a big job in this country. Streeting said that he was resigning, even though he gave credit to the prime minister for his efforts on the international stage, particularly with Iran. Domestically, he said that the country was looking for vision and got a vacuum, that they were looking for direction and got drift. This has really shaken the prime minister. It's an open rebellion on the same day that another leadership contender, Angela Rayner, announced that she had bypassed a fundamental problem that she had with her leadership bid, which was that she was being investigated for tax purposes on a home sale. You can really see that Starmer's challengers are lining up to get it.
Correspondent Danica Kirkus says in public opinion polls, Starmer is widely unpopular. News and analysis, townhall.com. When it comes to their kids, some Pennsylvania parents favor old school at school.
They're worried about excessive screen time in schools and are pushing educators to go back to pencils and paper. In Pennsylvania's Lower Merion School District, 600 people signing a petition asking to preserve parents' ability to opt their children out of digital devices. But it is a battle. School board members say it's not feasible to let hundreds of students opt out of technology that is essential to the curriculum. Jason Walker reporting.
6 passengers from a cruise ship hit by a hantavirus outbreak have arrived in Australia for a quarantine expected to last at least 3 weeks. The jet carrying 5 Australians and 1 person from New Zealand landed today at an air base outside Perth in Western Australia. Health Minister says all 6 have tested negative for the virus. More on these stories, townhall.com.
All right, folks, I need you to do something right now. Go to johnfredericksradio.com and take our brand new 2028 Republican presidential straw poll. Who do you want leading the ticket? Don't let the elites decide. Make your voice heard. While you're there, weigh in on 2 huge issues: eminent domain reform, and President Trump's tariff policies. Are they protecting American workers or hurting growth? This is your movement, your vote, your voice, your choice. Go to johnfredericksradio.com right now and take the poll.
For the first time ever, we're bringing you MyPillow mattresses and mattress toppers for as low as $99.98. Remember, sleep's all about temperature and pressure points. Whatever sleep needs you have, we have the right technology for you. Like our MyPillow mattress topper, our queen size has over 10,000 individual comfort supports to help relieve your pressure points. And how about our 3-inch Hybrid Plus mattress topper? It's infused with copper and silver to help your body get the restorative sleep it needs. And our MyPillow and Case Coil mattresses, I personally helped develop these mattresses to make sure they have everything needed to give us great sleep. Plus, they're made right here in the USA, and they ship right to your front door, absolutely free.
Go to MyPillow.com or call 800-854-0504 and use promo code Godzilla to get MyPillow mattresses and toppers for as low as $99.98 and free shipping.
How much did you win at Rosie's Gaming Emporium?
Hi, I'm Jerry from Richmond. I won a $23,000 jackpot at Rosie's.
I'm Tammy. I'm from Newport News, and I just won a $5,400 jackpot from Rosie's.
Hi, my name is Kim, and I'm from West Virginia, and I won $99,000 jackpot at Rosie's.
Are you ready? Learn more about Rosie's rewards and jackpots at rosiesgaming.com. Must be 18 or older. Problem gambling? Call 1-888-532-3500.
Buddy Carter, warrior, great guy.
President Trump and Buddy Carter are working to help Georgians keep more of what they earn by passing the largest tax cut in history, eliminating taxes on tips and overtime, and making the child tax credit permanent.
Buddy Carter, warrior, great guy.
From day one, Buddy Carter has stood with President Trump on his mission to make life more affordable for working families. But while President Trump and Buddy Carter were protecting our wallets, Congressman Mike Collins was abusing them. Congressman Collins is under federal investigation for misusing taxpayer funds to benefit himself and his cronies. According to the investigation report, Congressman Mike Collins, quote, may have violated federal law by shelling out government funds to one of his top aides. Georgia families have had enough of wasteful, corrupt career politicians. We just can't trust or afford Mike Collins. Paid for by Buddy Carter for Senate.
I'm Buddy Carter, and I approve this message.
What if those who were once called conspiracy theorists turn out to be right again? A new study by Korean doctors claimed that COVID vaccines raise the risk of 6 cancers, including lung, breast, and prostate. Researchers analyzed health records from more than 8.4 million adults between 2021 and 2023, and their findings were published in Biomarker Research, a respected scientific journal. Critics dismiss it, but the data raises concern that spike protein exposure may be tied to long-term health risks. And Dr. Peter McCullough has been aware of this since 2020, which is why he collaborated with the wellness company to create Ultimate Spike Detox, designed to help your body clear spike proteins, reduce inflammation, and support heart health. With natural ingredients like nattokinase, dandelion root, and bromelain, it is your daily proactive defense from a man-made virus. Don't wait until symptoms strike or something unexpected happens. Experience the only formula approved and used by Dr. McCullough, one of the top doctors who risked it all. Go to twc.health/Godzilla. That's twc.health/Godzilla and use promo code Godzilla to get 10% off plus free shipping.
Happy Friday morning, listening family. This is the John Fredericks Media Network. I'm Dan Hobgood. Time for a look at weather and sports. We'll start, as we always do, with where I am in the capital of the South, Richmond, Virginia, where the high today will be a very nice 74 degrees, a low of 49. Right now, the temperature is 46. Worst loss of the season for the Squirrels yesterday in Erie. 14-7 losers to the Seawolves. Back in action, 6:05 p.m. tonight. Moving on to the nation's capital. Not much better news there, sports-wise. The Reds crushed the Nats 15-1 yesterday. Baltimore makes the short trip to D.C. this weekend for a series against the Nats. High today in D.C. of 72, a low of 47. Right now the temperature is 53 degrees. The Commanders at the Eagles for Week 1 of the NFL season. Moving on to Atlanta. A rare loss for the Braves, blanked yesterday to the Cubbies, or by the Cubbies, I guess I should say. High in Atlanta, 79, a low of 56. Right now the temperature is 55. The Falcons open up the NFL season at the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm excited about it. Nashville, you're looking at a high today of 85, a low of 65. Right now the temperature is 53. New Titans coach Robert Saleh will square off against his former team, the New York Jets, week 1 of the NFL season this fall. Philadelphia, well, you were winners over the Red Sox, 3-1 yesterday. Turnpike Series coming up against my Buccos starting tonight. First pitch, 6:40 p.m. High today of 70 in the city of brotherly love, a low of 54. Right now the temperature is 52. Morgantown, got to be happy this morning. West Virginia baseball, 2-0 winners over TCU last night. Now only a half game back of Kansas in the Big 12 standings. High today in Morgantown of 69, a low of 49. Right now the temperature in, by God, West Virginia is 41 degrees. All right, Yinzers, the Buccos won a series against the lowly Rockies with a 7-2 victory yesterday at PNC Park. As I mentioned, they'll be squaring off against the Phillies beginning tonight this weekend. And Falcons at Steelers to start the NFL season. High in Pittsburgh today of 70 degrees, a low of 48. Right now the temperature is 46. Rematch of the Super Bowl to start the NFL season altogether. Pats Seahawks, first game of the year. Defending champion Scottie Scheffler among 6 golfers tied for the lead after one round at the PGA Championship outside of Philadelphia. Bringing you today's Weather and Sports Update is the Godzilla Wins radio show for the best insight, analysis, and picks. Watch and listen to Godzilla Wins tomorrow morning from 9 to 11 all across the John Fredericks Media Network. Plus, to get John's daily sports picks, go to GodzillaWins.com. Once again, that's GodzillaWins.com. This has been Dan Hopgood for the John Fredericks Media Network. Outside the Box with the Ox is next, followed by the John Fredericks Show. Stay tuned, everyone.
Lanny, the endangered monk seal, almost got beamed with a rock thanks to 38-year-old Igor Mikhailovich Litvinchuk of Covington, Washington, on vacation in Maui. Only 1,600 of these things exist anymore, and it's a crime to harass or kill one. The rock throw was witnessed, caught on camera, reported, and Igor...
No, it's pronounced Igor.
But they told me it was Igor.
Well, they were wrong then, weren't they?
...was arrested by federal agents in Seattle on his way back home. Charged with violating the Endangered Species Act and the Marine Mammal Protection Act. Could get a year in the pen on each charge and pay up to $70,000 in fines. The CNN travel story, however, implies he'd have no trouble paying the fine because he said he was rich and didn't care when confronted about the deed shortly after the incident on the beach in Lahaina.
I'm into bread. I love money.
The mayor said Lanny's return after the wildfires brought a sense of healing and hope during a difficult time, and that he's a reminder that humanity and the instinct to protect what is vulnerable are still values people can unite around. While thinking outside the box, we may have found the last remaining non-protected ethnicity in America. Whatever nationality Igor Mikhailovich Litvinchuk is, if he had a different last name, say one maybe from a land 8 time zones to the east, he would be defended as just being who he is, that it's his culture, and we should be tolerant and accepting even if it's in direct conflict with our own laws and values.
Where's Eddie? He usually eats these damn things.
Here outside the box with the Ox in the Eastern Time Zone and now in West Virginia on the John Fredericks Media Network.
John Fredericks.
It is the most egregious thing I've seen in a lifetime.
President Trump.
The whole thing is ridiculous.
When politics start getting wild.
They want to have every single thing that you don't want. Raise taxes, men and women's sports. They're going to open up their border.
Trump hits the speed dial.
Thank you for calling in on such short notice.
You came first, John.
Wake up with the John Fredericks Show weekday morning, 6 Eastern, 5 Central on JFMN.TV, the massive J-Fred radio network, and all across the social.
You came first, John. Thank you very much, and you do a great job.
Right now, download the new WV Sports Nation app from the Apple Store or Google Play and get the entire Mountaineer sports world in the palm of your hand. Right now, get notified when new stories drop about your favorite Mountaineers teams and athletes. Download the WV Sports Nation app right now. Get updates on next level Mountaineers like Weatherholt and Joe Mazzulla. All that and more right in your pocket right now. Download the new WV Sports Nation app from the Apple Store or Google Play. Download the app right now.
Live from the studios of the John Fredericks Media Network, it's the John Fredericks Show. Grab yourself a cup of 1775 coffee, sit back and get ready for the best 4 hours of talk radio in the universe. You can call our toll-free number at 888-480-5600
888-5646 to talk to John. And now, here's the Godzilla of Truth, the Oracle of the Deplorables, the man who is 6 months to a year ahead of everyone but God himself, John Fredericks.
Well, here we are again. We got more backstabbers. Tate Reeves going back on his word. Governor of Mississippi first said he's going to have a special session, and we're going to have a new election. We're going to get new maps. Then I guess the New York Times calls him, and he gets all jittery. So now he says, well, I changed my mind. We're not going to do a special session for 26. We're going to have it later for 28. So stabbed us in the back, cost us a seat, maybe 2. Thanks, Tate. Now I got Brian Kemp. I like the governor of Georgia. I mean, I know him personally. I backed him in a lot of his races. He says, I'm going to have a special session on June 17th. That's going to be after the runoff in Georgia. So that's fine. But again, we're going to get new maps in a special session, but we're not going to implement them until 2028. Look, we could all be dead in 2028. Why don't we do it now? So here's what they did. They basically tried to be cute. Hey, look, I'm MAGA. Hey, I'm with you guys. I'm going to redistrict. I'm going to have a special session. I'm with you guys. But I'm not going to have it for 2026. I'm going to have it for 2028 because, I don't want the New York Times writing articles about me. I don't want them making fun of me. I don't want that to be my legacy. So I'm with you guys, but I'm going to stab you in the back and tell you it's in 28 when 28 is not the problem. 26 is the problem. And this is what infuriates us about Republicans with no backbone and no spine, right? We're not stupid. If these were Democratic states and this was reversed, do you think the Democratic governors would be saying, I'm going to have a special session, but, not until 2028, good governance, whatever nonsense they're spewing out? No, they'd be holding it now and they'd be jamming it right down your throat like they did in Virginia. They just jammed it down your throat. It took a court to overturn it. This is why MAGA is infuriated. This is why MAGA 2.0, going forward, the new MAGA, the post-Trump MAGA, it's about one thing. It's about fighters. It's about fighting for what you believe in. It's about being able to stand up to the heat of the communists, of the left, of the fake news. If you can't stand up to them, you're never going to stand up to anything meaningful. Now, McMaster in South Carolina, he's having a special session, and he's going with 26 maps, and he's going to get us a seat. So McMaster, hero of the day, absolute backstabber of the day, Tate Reeves, and Brian Kemp is just Brian Kemp, right? I mean, he tries to have it both ways. Look, Brian, you can't have it both ways. You're a good governor. If you want any hope on the national scene, you got to get this done for 26. Now, I know you're not going to do it, but you should do it. Now, Harmeet Dillon, she says the Democratic state, she's going to start to sue them if they got illegal maps. So we'll see how that goes. Share this with your friends. In your heart, you know what I'm saying is right every single day, and I thank you for that. Share it with your friends. Follow me on social media at JF Radio Show, at JF Radio Show. Comment. Love to get your comments. And I'll see you tomorrow at 6 a.m. bright and early on the John Fredericks Media.
But they really performed well, I thought. You have in the past described President Xi to me as very tough, all business. Yeah. You're not describing the type of business that he normally used to do. Do you think that your relationship has evolved to the point where, he can go along with your spontaneity?
I think he's a warm person, actually, but he's all business. There's no games. There's no talking about how nice the weather is. Oh, let's look at the stars. Let's look at the sun. No, he's all business, and I like that. I mean, that's a good thing. No games. I say it about him, and I could say it about some. Not as complimentary, frankly, for the most part. But I say about him that if you went to Hollywood and you looked for a leader of China to play a role in a movie,
central casting.
He's central casting. You couldn't find a guy like him. Even his physical features. He's tall, very tall, and especially for this country because they tend to be a little bit shorter. You look at the military. I mean, the military today was incredible. That military marching was incredible. But no, if you went to Hollywood, you're not going to find a guy to play the role. He's good. And he's I'll get criticized. They always criticize me when I say good things about certain leaders, and this one. But he's a leader for China. He's led almost 1.5 billion people for a long time. And he's respected. It's sort of interesting when the fake news said, he said, they'll say, President Trump said that President Xi was a brilliant leader. That's a terrible thing. What am I going to do? You know, but it's, you know, you saw the response, you saw and here's the thing. Those business people are here to make deals and to bring back jobs. They're bringing back massive numbers. You know, China's going to invest hundreds of billions of dollars with those people that were in that room today. That's why they came. That's why they came. It was really an honor. We had just about every major business leader in there.
Yeah, I mean, the list was impressive. There's no doubt about it. So maybe to give people some insight into.
Well, here we are. You're on the John Fredericks Media Network and all the John Fredericks radio apps. I'm your Godzilla of the truth in America, your oracle of the deplorables, TGIF. President Trump on his way back from China. Far as we can see, very successful trip. Got a long interview there with Hannity. It's, you know, half that is about Hannity. It's kind of the way it is. Kind of funny. But listen, a lot of people criticizing the president for saying nice things about his adversary, Xi, the dictator. Yeah, he's a great leader. Yeah, when you, gun your people down in Tiananmen Square and they can't do anything without your authorization. And if you go off on social media, they starve you to death and they enslave the Uyghurs. And if you do anything wrong, they kill you and you can't have but so many kids. I mean, if you want to do that and anything you do wrong, they jail you or shoot you in the head. It's easy to be a leader under those circumstances. Not a fan, but I understand what the president is doing. He's got to work with the Chinese. He's got to work with Xi, and he's trying to make deals and for the betterment of Americans. So we're better off with a relationship than not a relationship, right? Everybody agrees with that. Of course, the Democrats are saying, he's selling out. I don't know what he's selling out. Say, well, why did he bring all the tech pros there? Why did he bring all the big business leaders there? Well, because he wants them to make investments. He wants China to make investments that are going to benefit Americans. Are we going to ship our jobs there? No. I mean, we got our jobs out of there. So, look, you got to bring business leaders over to cut business deals. I don't know what deals are cutting. I guess we'll find out soon. But, Trump has brought the trade deficit down. He's built our military up. I don't think there's any shot of them going into Taiwan. They don't know what he's going to do, which is part of why it's hard to deal with Trump on the other end because he's so unpredictable. People like certainty. You're not going to get that with the president. But look, he went to China, and he's got one major goal right now, which is to get him to cooperate with us on Iran. And apparently, he's done that. No, court's out. Look, whatever. Here's the problem with both countries we're dealing with. Whatever Iran says is a lie. Whatever China says is a lie. Both of them lie, right? I mean, there's one clip I'm going to play about him, not wanting to get rid of these Chinese students, saying it's going to collapse the university system. If our university system can't survive on Americans, then maybe there's something wrong with it. Then maybe you go fix that rather than importing Chinese that end up being spies and loyal to our adversary on our dime or their dime, whatever dime it is, they're here. So I'm not in favor of that. I'm not in favor of H-1B visas. This is where I break with the president. And it's okay to do that. You don't have to be 100% in lockstep, folks, on every single thing. I don't agree with H-1B visas. I don't agree with all these students coming from China. I don't care what they're paying the university. I don't agree with it. I think they should be kept out, deported, and sent back. I don't agree with pregnant Chinese women coming here, having babies, going back, and then all of a sudden they're voters when they turn 18. I don't agree with that either. We're letting that happen. So there's a lot of things here I don't agree with. But the president went there to make deals. He went there to better the economy, and he went there to get them to understand our position in Iran and have them help us. And apparently, they're going to do that. Now, we're going to play some other cuts here on China. President on his way back now on Air Force One now. That boarded, I believe, at about 4 a.m. our time is when, because I saw it maybe a little earlier than that, maybe 3 a.m. our time. So he's on his way back. He'll be here sometime late today. And I don't know how long the flight is. Probably they got to stop in Anchorage somewhere in Alaska to fuel, and we know it's what 3, 4. It's 9 hours, 10 hours from Alaska, 9 hours from Alaska. So probably 18 hours. Somebody can look it up, put it in the chat. Probably about an 18-hour flight, and you got to refuel 20 hours. So he'll be back sometime tonight, Eastern time. Let's get to cut one here before answering a question on trade with China. Trump bashes Norah O'Donnell as stupid, an average person, but he still goes and interviews with her on Face the Nation. So, I mean, this is all a game, folks, right? It's just a game, right? They bash them, and then the first interview they give is CBS. So it's just kind of funny. Let's get to one. Take a look here. President Trump bashing CBS.
And she, as we continue our interview. Let me go to the issue of trade, tariffs, intellectual property theft. I'm sure, especially with all those big business people you brought in, those are big. Any progress you can report?
Yeah, I mean, it is progress, but I also tell people that, I was at an interview with a very bad, stupid reporter. She works for CBS. You saw that 60 Minutes. Stupid person, just an average person. You could take anybody off the street and it'd be as good as she is, just very average. And she asked me a question.
Yeah.
She's talked about China and this and that they steal this and they steal that. And I said, yeah, we do it to them too. They spy on us. I said, we spy on them too, I guess, So some people thought that was cute. Other people said, you don't have to say that. I said, I sort of do. No, we do things and they do things, and that's the way it is. Now, with that being said, I spoke to him very strongly about that, and I'd like to see it taken care of. But they've been doing that for 50 years.
Will we see a change? In other words, will there be an improvement with trade?
Fentanyl is way down coming into the country for two reasons. The border's.
I'm going to get to Peter Schweizer here. Let's go to 2. Says Trump understands that Xi Jinping is making promises he won't keep because he's a lying POS. Cut 2. Roll it.
About it, and it's fun. You get these jumping Chinese kids putting on quite a show, but there's some real hardcore issues at stake here. What's your takeaway from the summit, Peter?
Well, I think, China pulled out all the stops for President Trump. They didn't do it because they like him. They did it because they respect him and they kind of fear him. They have disliked American presidents in the past. They did not like Barack Obama. Barack Obama, they felt, was condescending and was sort of dismissing them in an arrogant way. And you remember in September of 2016, they didn't pull the stairway up in front of Air Force One. So he had to climb out of what the Guardian magazine in the UK called the ass of Air Force One. He had to go down the back steps. It was an example of disrespect. They would never do that to Donald Trump in a million years because they know Trump wouldn't tolerate it. So Trump came in, I think, demonstrated strength. He's also rejiggered the economic relationship, I think, in a very positive way. This delegation of CEOs that came with him, it conveys to China, look, they're with me, I'm with them. This is my posse. These are these dynamic companies that are excelling America forward. But also, Jesse, it conveys to these CEOs, you're American companies. You're not multinational corporations. You're not going to cut these kind of co-production deals that benefit our enemies anymore. So it makes him the convening authority in commercial relationships with China, which is exactly what you want when you're dealing with an adversary like Beijing.
That's such a great point because United States CEOs kind of hosed the American worker the last 25 years, and we're still paying the price for that. The Chinese make a lot of promises, Peter. They say this, they say that. They don't always follow through. Do you think this time's different? Xi says he's going to be open for business. Does he mean it?
No, he doesn't mean it. And I think Donald Trump knows it. Trump understands that words are a way to communicate information, but they can also be weapons, strategic weapons. So China's making promises it's not going to keep. But Trump understands that. That's the important thing.
Okay. All right, Peter. Good to talk to you. Thank you so much.
They're all live. You know what? He's got to do what he's got to do. This is why I thought this was a productive meeting, and I'm not going to criticize it. I don't know what the outcome is. Now, here, let's get to 5. Take a listen to this. when he was asked about whether or not China is going to help the U.S. end the Iran war in the way that we want, which is no Navy, no leadership, no bomb, no ability to close the straits. Take a look. 5.
Do you think President Xi and China have the ability to influence the Iranians, considering they are one of their biggest
probably,
customers?
But look, he's not coming in with guns. He's not coming in with rifles. They're not coming in shooting. You know,
Influence.
somebody said he's been very good. They get a lot of their oil, 40% of their oil from that location. So what has happened, and one thing I think that we're going to make a deal on, they've agreed they want to buy oil from the United States. They're going to go to Texas. We're going to start sending Chinese ships to Texas and to Louisiana and to Alaska. And I think that was another thing that was agreed to. That's a big thing.
What about liquefied natural gas?
It's not that much longer.
Gas, too?
Yeah, everything. Energy.
All right, let's go to a quick word from our sponsors. You're on the John Fredericks Media Network, TGIF. We're going to be back. And President Trump coming back from his big trip to Beijing, meeting with President Xi. Was getting criticized for the Democrats. It doesn't matter what he did. If he went to heaven to meet with Jesus Christ, they'd criticize him. So who cares? We're going to be right back with your calls, 888-480-JOHN. More on President Trump and his historic trip to Beijing.
This is Crom Carmichael, CEO of Solti. We got a wonderful email from one of our customers up east named Joe, and here's what he had to say. I started taking Solti almost out of desperation with little hope because I was resigned to the futility that although I was up to taking 2 statins a day, high cholesterol was something I just had to learn to live with. In fact, when I turned 60, after taking a stress cardio test, my doctor called me on a Saturday, which of course is never a good sign, and told me that I was clogged more than 95% of the people my age. I had an angioplasty and a stent procedure done at that time. Today, my stubborn triglycerides are only 1/3 of what they had been before starting taking Solti. My prescription statin dosage has shrunk from 60 milligrams to only 10 milligrams a day. My primary care doctor that I have had for many years still can't believe the results, and neither can I. Thank you, Solti, for providing such a wonderful product. And folks, I want to invite you to take care of your heart also by going to GodzillaHeart.com. That's GodzillaHeart.com. Use the code Godzilla at checkout, and you'll get a 50% discount on your initial shipment. Thanks so much.
In a time when everything feels political, one place must rise above it all: the courtroom, where the law rules and integrity matters. In 2020, Georgians came together, electing a justice who believes in protecting our courts.
I'm Georgia Supreme Court Justice Sarah Warren, and here's what I believe. I believe in the rule of law, the separation of powers, and a judge's limited role to interpret the law as written. I believe in a nonpartisan judiciary, impartial judges who don't advocate for political positions or outcomes. I believe in deciding cases without bias or favor, treating everyone with dignity and respect. As a justice on your Supreme Court, I've upheld these values. With your support, we'll maintain the integrity of our courts.
Vote to re-elect Justice Sarah Warren. Vote early starting April 27th or on Election Day, May 19th. Paid for by Georgians for Justice Warren, Inc.
Washington is wasting $500 million every year on a federal supervision system that doesn't work. Probation officers are overwhelmed. Resources are going to people who pose zero threat, while actual dangerous individuals slip through the cracks. The Safer Supervision Act stops the waste and refocuses every dollar on protecting families from harm. President Trump's own pollster found about 80% of Trump voters want this fixed. It's time for Congress to get this done. Stop the waste. Protect our communities. Visit safersupervision.com. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
Tired of fumbling for your phone, wallet, or keys? Don't put it in your pants, put it in your pocket. Meet T-Pocket, the practical tees, the shirt that keeps it all in reach. Designed in the USA, assembled in the South, these tees feature smart built-in pockets for easy access. Long sleeve, short sleeve, available in most colors, with your favorite teams and logos to come later. Shop the full lineup now at tpocket.net. Fast shipping, easy ordering. Grab yours today and level up your everyday carry. Put it in your pocket with T-Pocket. tpocket.net.
It's finally here, our second annual mega sale.
This sale only comes around once a year, so take advantage of the best offers ever while you can. For example, save 50% on our Giza Dream bed sheets as low as $29.98. And for the first time ever on TV, My Pillow mattresses and My Pillow mattress toppers as low as $99.98. And you save 50% on our Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets. Regular $69.98, now only $39.98. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, regular $49.98, on sale for $17.98. Wait on it, mega sale only $14.98. But wait, there's more. To make the mega sale even more special, when you order right now, your order's gonna ship absolutely free.
To take advantage of the second annual mega sale, go to mypillow.com or call 800-854-0504 and use promo code Godzilla.
They're better than we are. We're not good enough. We shouldn't even be thinking about beating this 49ers. We shouldn't be talking about it because the Saints ain't good enough. And you guys shouldn't write about us being a playoff team and all that bullshit. That's malarkey. We ain't good enough to beat those guys, and it was proven out there today. It's that simple. We're not good enough yet. We got a long way to go. We got a lot of work to do. We're close, and close don't mean, and you can put that on TV for me. I'm tired of coming close, and we're going to work our off till we ain't close anymore. And it may take some time. We're going to get it done. We aren't in there. We aren't good enough. They're better than us. Black and white, simple fact. Could have, would have, should have is the difference of what I'm talking about. The good teams don't come in and say could have. They get it done. All right? It's that simple. I'm tired of saying could have, should have, would have. That's why we ain't good enough yet. Because we're saying could have and they ain't.
Don't touch that dial. You've found your home of the truth.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
With the best analysis in America.
You can't handle the truth.
And now back to the John Fredericks.
No, you got him, John Fredericks Media Network. Great to have you with us, as always. Rocking and rolling TGIF Plus. This is a community. Truth and clarity right here. You want the truth? I'm your guy. You want clickbait, nonsense, posses, or whatever is going on. No, I'm just not going to do that. But if you want the truth and you want to know what's really going on and you want the best insight you're going to get with not a clickbait around, then you come right here. And thank you for joining us. Plus, this is a community. We want your calls. 888-480-JOHN, 888-480-5646. In a statement issued by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for the Chi-Coms, the Chi-Coms called for the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz and a diplomatic resolution to the war. Trump told Hannity, which we'll play in a minute, in an interview, which we are playing some of these clips last night, that President Xi strongly committed to not sending military equipment to Iran. He also said China agreed to purchase 200 jets from Boeing, a lower number than expected, which sent shares downward. So they didn't get the deal on Boeing they wanted, but they got some deal. So that's good. But hopefully they'll help open up these straits and bring this war to an end. That would be very good. I'm going to get to let's get the number 6 here, Dan, if we can. This is Matt Whitlock saying the biggest win for President Trump in China was saying out loud that they stand with us on Iran. He thought that was the biggest win. Let's take a listen.
Biggest win of this for President Trump is getting getting China to say out loud they stand with us on Iran. They want the Strait of Hormuz open. They're not going to allow Iran to sort of get tolls from the Strait of Hormuz, and Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. That is the biggest news around the world today from this conversation. All right. They don't need them. They don't need their support. They just need them to not help the bad guys.
Yeah.
I mean, exactly. They're not going to support us. We just don't want them to help Iran. That's all. If they do nothing, Iran collapses. They just have to do nothing. And hopefully that's where this was headed. Number 7, here's Whitlock again. I'm playing this clip because I really agree with it. Here's Whitlock basically saying, I'm not going to get the Dems. I'm not going to take their nonsense lecturing me about China when you look at how they've dealt with them over the years. 7, roll it.
I think that it's a fair question to ask. I think President Trump took these business leaders with the goal of getting China to buy more of their products and take them into China. And that was the larger goal here. I think the chips conversation is going to be ongoing because there are legitimate concerns about giving China that kind of power on something we recognize the need to have the strategic advantage over. However, I'm not sure anyone needs to hear lecturing from Democrats after they rolled over to China on so many different issues, including allowing Chinese auto parts into Joe Biden's Inflation Reduction Act tax credits and things like that.
And drones, of course, into the Defense Department, allowing spies into their offices, letting them run for mayor as Democrats, and the list goes on and on.
And here's President Trump again. I just want to, cover this because obviously it's the biggest event we've had this week, other than the gerrymandering and the wins we've gotten there. And of course, my opening, Tate Reeves stabbing us in the back, and Brian Kemp basically trying to straddle both ends, and you just can't do that. But let's get to 9. Here's Trump saying the Democrats are against farmers, and he said they're dumb. Roll it.
95% of the farm vote. And by the way, we just signed the farm bill, or we just approved the farm bill in Congress, which a lot of people thought was not going to happen. The Democrats are against farmers. You believe it? I say, how can they be against? Add that to the men and women sports center. The Democrats are against farmers. Can you believe it? So anyway, they're defective. I came up with a new name. I don't know if I should.
Oh, I know which one it is.
Democrats. Because they're dumb. They're dumb. It's D-U-M. I got rid of the B. So you're only changing one letter, right? E goes and the U comes. It's a Democrat.
You take up more space in people's heads than any.
And let's get to let's get here to Trump saying as soon as this war ends, gas prices are going to go down lower than it was before, and then we'll follow that up with his comment on the B-2 bombers in that raid. Let's go to we'll do 10 and 11, Dan, one after the other. Roll it.
Chinese ships up to buy oil.
They do.
So we're doing, and I don't like talking about it because then the fake news media says, Trump doesn't talk about the fact that somebody's paying 2.5 from, I had it down to $1.85 in Iowa a gallon. So now it's $4, and it's going to not be long. And as soon as the war ends, it's going to go down to lower than it was before. It's going to be very quick. And, when I explain it to people, all you have to do is say, do you think Iran, they're crazy, should have a nuclear weapon? Everybody says no. I said, well, then you think I'm doing the right thing. And I have no choice. The sad thing is that we had just broken every record on the stock market, as you know. I thought the market would go down 20, 25 points. It didn't. It's higher now than it was before we started.
All right. If you want.
Well, what? But isn't that amazing? What do you think?
It is amazing. And
it's very interesting.
60% enriched uranium could be weapons grade, 90% enriched in under 12 days.
Yeah.
And they were bragging to your Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff.
If I didn't go in with the B-2 bombers that week, that day, that week, they would right now have a nuclear bomb.
So it was that imminent?
Well, I thought so.
The intelligence told you so.
I thought that they were very close to having a nuclear weapon, and it all emanated from those 3 sites that we hit. And we hit them good. And when he told me that, and he wasn't saying that as a negotiation, he just said, we can't get it, we'll never be able to get it. They're not, you got to move like the weight of a mountain. And it was a granite mountain. Those bombs went right down air chutes. I guarantee they'll never build an air chute again.
This is the bunker.
So let's get to one thing I do not agree with the president on. This is going to be 12 here, Dan, is him defending Chinese students in American universities because they're paying the full boat. Well, then why not just have a legal scam? I mean, I don't get this. I don't think it's a good idea. I break with the president on this particular issue, along with H-1B visas. We're either America first or we're not. And if our universities can only survive because Chinese are paying full tuition, then there's something deeply, deeply wrong with our university system. And that's got to be fixed. You don't fix it by importing Chinese students, 500,000 of them, paying the full tuition that are there to eventually spy on us and help to destroy the nation. That makes no sense to me. I don't know who that makes sense to other than a university money grab. doesn't make sense to me. 12. Go ahead, Dan.
I could tell them, I don't want any students, is a very insulting thing to say to a country. They would then immediately go out and start building universities all over China. But if you don't have those students, good students, by the way, if you don't, and we do another thing, if they're good and they want to stay in America, we won't give them a green card and things like that. And that, not only them, but other countries. But if you want to see a university system die, take 500,000 people out of it. And the ones that won't be hurt are the top schools. The top schools will do fine, but your lower schools, the ones that don't do quite as well, they'll be dying all over the place. I frankly think that it's good that people come from other countries and they learn our culture, and many of them want to stay here. I think it's good. Not everybody agrees with me.
I don't.
And it doesn't sound like a very conservative position. And I'm as conservative. I'm a conservative guy. I'm really a common sense guy, I think, more than a conservative guy. I think MAGA is common sense. People understand we want strong borders, we want strong military, we want good education, we want low interest rates, we want. But
I think people would argue they worry about, do they have nefarious intentions?
Sure, I know, and we worry about that. And honestly, they do things to us and we do things to them. It's a very, very fine line, the whole thing with students. So they have 500,000 students, and our university system does great. It does great. You want to screw it up, take 500,000 students out. And you're gonna see bankruptcies at the lower end of good colleges, but they're not known or whatever. You're going to have a lot of problems. So it's something I'm always looking at. But it's a very insulting thing to tell a country, we don't want your people in our schools. I mean, it really is. Now, I'll have people say, oh, that's a terrible thing. It is a very insulting thing. And it's very interesting. It's something didn't come up today. Came up last time. But I will tell you that school systems don't want that to happen because you won't have much of a school system.
I mean, here's what he's saying, and I am so in opposition to this. Basically, you're saying that our university system is insolvent without 500,000 Chinese students who are going to end up coming here and spying on us. And as Hannity said, here for nefarious means. They're not here to ingratiate themselves in our culture. They're here to see how they can undermine the nation, as they've done at every step. This is an adversary. Why you would let them come and infiltrate our colleges is beyond me, right? And he said, well, they'll have to build, then they'd build their own colleges. The hell do I care? I mean, that's their problem. I mean, are 500,000 U.S. university students going to China? Of course not. You'd never go there, right? But they come here. Why? For money? So that the universities, the DEI university says, we have a great university system? No, we don't. University system sucks. NIL, the whole thing, the whole money grab, not educating people, DEI, teaching all kinds of left-wing communist dogma. If half of them collapse, we're better off. I am 100% opposed to this concept. But look, that's his position. I'm going to agree with him 90% of the time here. No, not H-1B visas, not 500,000 students in our schools. And I think the weakest argument he gave is, well, the university system, we'd start seeing bankruptcies. Well, good. I mean, if you're not running things right, you can't make money, you will go bankrupt. And if people don't go to your college because you teach garbage and you can't get a job, you will go bankrupt. And if you're just propping them up with foreign cash, the hell's that do? I mean, that's like George Soros when he bought Odyssey or iHeart. I forget what he did. Like they were going bankrupt, and so Soros comes in and bails them out, so that then he can influence what they do. This is not how you run a business. So look, I'm 100% opposed. Odyssey, WRVA's parent company. I mean, I'm not in agreement with this. In fact, of all the things Trump's done, this and H-1B visas are the two things I'm most opposed to. And it has nothing to do with America First and his anti-MAGA. So, you know what? If there was a reason to cut this deal, if he said, and then they say it's insulting, who the hell cares if it's insulting? Your foreign students are not coming into our country to steal our stuff. How is that insulting? So, you know what? I'm not going to agree with everything. And on this one, we're going to have to agree to disagree. Let's get to cut 15 here. Trump talking about the border, and then we'll go to 16 with him blasting CNN. Roll it.
CNN has just been destroyed.
You were pretty funny the other day. You were in the Oval Office and you go, I think whatever I want to do, I'm going to say the opposite. Then I'll get what I want.
It took me a while,
But by the way, there's probably some.
No, I'm going to announce what I don't want. I'll be able to get it. They'll immediately, I'll say, we will not build a wall. We will not because I built over 1,000 miles of wall. People don't even talk about it. We have the safest southern border in the history of our country. We have the safest border in the world other than North Korea. I tell you, North Korea has a pretty safe border, too. They've got 5 fences that are fully electrocuted.
You were at that border.
I saw it. There's never been anyone. There was one person that got through, but he ended up dying about 10 feet as he got through.
All right, we'll have more with President Trump on the other side as we continue tonight from Beijing, China.
Well, listen, it's a good trip. We don't have a lot of details. I'm going to leave it to the president. He said it was very successful, so I'm going to leave it there. I'm sure we'll get more details when he comes back. I'm sure there'll be gaggles and press conferences and things of that nature. But look, for the Democrats are saying, he's going out there to sell our jobs out. It was you guys who sold the jobs out with open borders and everything else. Trump is trying to protect our jobs through the tariffs. So that's nonsense. I mean, if he's bringing CEOs over there and they want to buy our products that we make here and they want to buy them, that's different than we're going to have a factory there and take our jobs away, right? If they want to buy from Boeing, if they want to buy our oil, they want to buy our gas that we're producing in Texas, Louisiana, and Alaska, and we want to sell it to them at a premium, I'm for that, right? I'm for selling our stuff to other markets. That helps the U.S. economy, that helps jobs, that helps wages. So that's why he brought the CEOs there. Have them buy our stuff made here, not have them make our stuff and then ship it back here, which is what we were doing for 40 years. They make stuff for us there that we could make, and then they ship it back and we buy it, and our workers are greeters at Walmart. See, that was the model. Trump's new model, which nobody of these in the libtard fake news media has a brain cell to figure out, his new model is we make stuff here in America and we export it. We sell it to other countries. China is a massive potential buyer. So we make the jets, they buy the jets. We pump the oil, they buy the oil. We get the natural gas, they buy the natural gas. We make something, they buy something. Money goes from them to our companies to our workers. Rather than we scour the earth for slave labor, we bring our manufacturing there, they make our stuff, and then they ship it back with no tariffs and sell it here cheaper, and our guys and gals are out of a job. That's the Democrat way. That's the Republican old way. That's the Chamber of Commerce way. And that's the open borders way. Trump is trying to reverse that. So to say, he's selling out the American worker, no, he's doing the opposite. He wants the Chi-Coms to buy our products made here. I don't know how this can be any clearer with anybody with a brain in their head. That's why I brought the CEOs there. Nobody's talking about opening up factories there. We've already done that. We're not going to do that under President Trump. Probably do it under, a rhino or a Democrat, sure. Chamber of Commerce back in charge. They can get cheap labor. I mean, it's orgasmic for them. But for us, we want to pay our workers. That's why we need them to sell our stuff. Okay? It is as simple as that. Okay, we're going to go to 18 here. Here's the CENTCOM commander, Admiral Brad Cooper on Iran, saying their capability has been significantly downgraded. I mean, this war, they are running out of everything. And, you know, Joe Rubin might be a Democrat, but he nailed it the other day. And I know some of you people get upset when he comes on. Every Democrat is not an imbecile, okay? Some of them, like him, are actually reasonable people. And what Joe Rubin said is we need patience. We need resolve and patience in this war. We need to take a breath and be patient. It's not going to be done in a day. I know everybody wants instant gratification. Patience. 18, Admiral Brad Cooper on Iran.
Their capability have been significantly degraded. If I just use my own professional experience, in 100 transits through the Strait of Hormuz, you would typically see 20 to 40 fast boats, and lately we've seen 2 or 3.
I mean, 20 or 30 to 2 or 3, pretty soon you're going to see none. So I'm for sinking the 2 or 3. So if you see 2 or 3, sink them. Blow them up. That's why we're there. This is why I'm not in favor of the ceasefire either. Doesn't do anything for us. See a boat, blow it up. That's why we got all the assets there. Hey, there's a boat. Well, now it's on the bottom of the ocean. What about the crew? Well, it's called war. Adversaries perish. That's what it is. Hey, speaking of CNN and fake news, we got time for 16 here, Danny. This is where Trump blasts CNN. But of course, you know, CNN is always the first person they'll call on. When I go to the Oval Office, first question always goes to CNN, but then they blast them. So again, it's a game, but it's a fun game. It's like playing, remember Chutes and Ladders, right? Play that with your children. Opposite Land, which Trump mentioned, Chutes and Ladders, Candyland, right? It's kind of like Candyland. I haven't played that in a long time. Let's get to, I got to have some grandkids, Joe or Jack or somebody out there. One of my boys, Claire, no, that's not going to happen. But I got to have a grandkid here so I can play Candyland. 16, roll it.
What they're doing, it'll all be gone in one day. Everything they've done for the last 4 weeks will be gone in one day. But when you read some of these horrible papers, if you watch CNN as an example, or that other one, they used to go to MSDNC, now it's MS Now, and they got rid of it because it was such an embarrassment. It gets no ratings. CNN has just been destroyed.
You were pretty funny the other day. You were in the Oval Office and you go, you know, I think whatever I want to do, I'm going to say the opposite. Then I'll get what I.
We already heard that. Okay, so blasting CNN, but then they go in the Oval Office. The first person that gets a question is a CNN reporter, and it even happened with Vance yesterday. First question, CNN. So you know, look, this is all a game, right? At the end of the day, this administration wants the adulation of the fake news. They want it. They're never going to get it, but they want it. They try to get it. That's why they don't break the seats up. That's why they call on them first. You know, it's never going to end, but it is what it is. So you deal with it, right? Odyssey, WRVA's parent company, owned by George Soros. Dan, you're a funny guy, Danny boy. All right, we got a great show coming up for you as always. We got Machine Gun Dunn is going to be with us. We've got the Virginia Gang at 9 o'clock. We've got your calls. We got all kinds of things going on. We got Rob Crilly. All coming up right here on the John Fredericks Media Network, trucking the truth across America. TGIF. When I get back, give you a little update on the Maryland Terrapins baseball season. Coming to an end, thank the good Lord. We'll be right back.
This is WJFN, Goochland, Bonaire, Chester, and WJFV, Portsmouth.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason.
The final round of talks between President Trump and Chinese President Xi is wrapped up over tea and lunch. The two leaders, senior aides and translators in tow, huddled for several hours as Mr. Trump completed his three-day visit to China. President Trump says he's looking forward to welcoming his Chinese counterpart to Washington for a state visit this fall.
We're going to lay it on the line, and we're going to have, you're going to walk away, hopefully very impressed, like I'm very impressed with China. And I just want to end by saying thank you very much. It's been really a great couple of days. Thank you very much.
Two leaders claim important progress stabilizing U.S.-China relations, even as some deep differences persist. The Taiwan question still looms large, along with the Iran situation. Ukrainian President Zelensky says 3 children are among the 24 people killed in a Russian missile attack hit an apartment building in the capital, Kiev. The nation's highest court has spoken. An abortion drug will remain available while a lawsuit over its availability plays out in the lower courts.
The Supreme Court preserved women's access to a drug used in the most common method of abortion. The order allows women to continue obtaining the drug mifepristone at pharmacies or through the mail without an in-person visit to a doctor. The justices granted emergency requests from makers of mifepristone who are appealing a federal appeals court ruling that would require women to see a doctor in person and halt delivery of the drug through the mail. The Federal Food and Drug Administration, which first approved mifepristone for use in abortion in 2000, stopped requiring in-person visits 5 years ago. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Wall Street futures point to a lower open later this morning. Dow futures down 203 points, and NASDAQ futures off 342. Townhall.com.
Looking for a great real estate agent? Someone who can help you sell your home fast and for top dollar? Go to ready.com, REDY.com. Because on Ready, agents will pay you just for the opportunity to sell your home. Yeah, on Ready, agents will pay you for your listing. Thousands of dollars up front just for a chance to sell your home. And it's easy. Just go to ready.com, enter your address, and when you want to sell. In just 48 hours, the best local agents are competing on Ready to be your agent with cash offers up front just to win your business. Hey, your listing is valuable. Don't give it away. Make those agents earn it. Get paid to pick your real estate agent. Go to ready.com or call 800-885-REDY. 800-885-READY.
Members of Congress worried about their own safety.
Lawmakers are working to raise the retirement age for U.S. Capitol Police officers as lawmakers face rising threats and as the Capitol Police Department struggles to recruit and retain enough officers. Legislation passed unanimously by the Senate would allow Capitol Police officers to apply to extend their service until age 62, while a bill passed by the House earlier this year would allow them to serve until age 65. Nearly 60 sworn officers are already working on a retirement waiver, more than double the size of a typical recruitment class. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
New U.S. House districts in Florida face their first test in court. State judge set to hear arguments on a request to block the new districts from being used in the midterm elections. Several lawsuits claim the districts violated state constitutional provision against partisan gerrymandering. News and analysis at townhall.com. The EPA is seeking to relax Biden-era limits on heavy metals discharges from coal-fired power plants.
The agency says a 3-year-old rule was unduly costly for the energy industry at a time when energy demand is spiking, and that its new rule will lower the cost of power generation. It's the latest step the Trump administration has taken to pull back regulations on coal mining and coal-fired power, a major reversal from former Democrat administrations, including both Obama and Biden, who spoke openly about using regulations to shut down the coal industry. Bob Agnew reporting.
More details about the 6 people found dead in a rail yard shipping container in Laredo, Texas last weekend. Police say the 6 were from Honduras and Mexico, and it was a case of human smuggling. Medical examiners suspect the deaths were caused by excessive heat. The city's police chief says the victims entered the container in Del Rio, Texas. More on these stories at townhall.com.
All right, folks, I need you to do something right now. Go to johnfredericksradio.com and take our brand new 2028 Republican presidential straw poll. Who do you want leading the ticket? Don't let the elites decide. Make your voice heard. While you're there, weigh in on two huge issues: eminent domain reform and President Trump's tariff policies. Are they protecting American workers or hurting growth? This is your movement, your vote, your voice, your choice. Go to johnfredericksradio.com right now and take the poll. President Trump is already transforming Washington, D.C., making it the safest, cleanest, and most beautiful city in the world. But we need fighters on the ground to keep it going. I'm John Fredericks, and I'm running for chairman of D.C. GOP Ward 2 to make sure Trump's vision for this city becomes a reality. Safe streets, clean neighborhoods, and yes, rat-free. Go to MakeDCGreat.com. That's MakeDCGreat.com right now and send a donation. Let's finish what President Trump started. Donation limit $200. I'm John Fredericks, and I paid for this ad.
The J. Fred Media Menu, now serving hot takes of Rob Carson.
I want to talk a little bit about this transgender Canadian shooter. This is a tragedy, but I'm telling you, it doesn't help to avoid, because you're afraid of offending, the massive signs that this kid was going to do something. We are finally, I think, getting back to the fact we can say that boys who think they're girls, maybe there's something wrong.
The Rob Carson Show, weekdays, noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central on J. Fred's Media Network.
1775 Coffee is giving away free starter kits. Try the dark or medium roast coffee with longevity blend, an infused blend with anti-aging calcium alpha-ketoglutarate, which has been clinically proven to reduce biological age. When you purchase the first 2 bags, you'll receive a free 1775 starter kit, including a third 16-ounce bag of coffee, a matte black tumbler, a frother, a gold scoop, or a reusable K-cup filter. Just order now at 1775coffee.com/Godzilla and claim your free 1775 starter kit while supplies last.
Washington is wasting $500 million every year on a federal supervision system that doesn't work. Probation officers are overwhelmed. Resources are going to people who pose zero threat, while actual dangerous individuals slip through the cracks. The Safer Supervision Act stops the waste and refocuses every dollar on protecting families from harm. President Trump's own pollster found about 80% of Trump voters want this fixed. It's time for Congress to get this done. Stop the waste. Protect our communities. Visit safersupervision.com. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
When you're learning something new, experience matters. At Lifestyles Unlimited, we've spent over 30 years teaching people how real estate investing works and how to build income with a clear, step-by-step strategy. Our program is designed to help you learn what to do, why it works, and how to take action at your own pace. Join today for just $297, a 60% savings off the regular price. Text radio to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007. Presented by Lifestyles Unlimited.
Ponder this. We intake oxygen every time we breathe, and breathing is how we stay alive. When God first created man, he breathed life into him. Our Lord also breathed spiritual life into his apostles and filled them with the Holy Spirit at the first Pentecost. Oxygen is a source of life both physically and spiritually. It's the same with fire. Oxygen is needed in order to keep a fire burning, which begs the question, are you on fire for the Lord, or has your spiritual oxygen been extinguished? To answer this, we must go to the source. The source of our spiritual oxygen is the Lord himself. Without him, there is no life within us. Those are his words, not mine. We are called to tap into this life source by baptism, daily prayer, and receiving the sacraments, especially Holy Communion if you are a Catholic, in the state of grace. If we tap into this life source every day, our lives will be filled with the love of the Lord, our spiritual oxygen. I'm Susie Kelly, and I am passionately Catholic.
I think it's ridiculous that you're even asking me that question. That you even say the word. I mean, I'm serious. I'm sick of it. I don't even know why we even bring up the dadgum word. How about some of these other teams out there that lose to unranked opponents all the time? That's our 33rd win versus unranked opponent. We ain't lost to anybody unranked since 2011, but I have to come to a press conference in 2015 and get asked that. And that's all media bull crap. I can tell you how they feel about it. They don't like it. It's a lack of respect. It's not doing your homework and paying attention to what reality is. Should not be asked that question.
He's your Godzilla of the truth in America.
Run! It's Godzilla!
No gibberish or nonsense, just common sense. And now back to the John Fredericks Show.
Well, I know you love Fridays just as much as I do. TGIF. It's Friday. You are on the John Fredericks Media Network, and we are trucking the truth. across America. Well, we got Colonel Dunn coming up. You know what? It's always great on a Friday to have Machine Gun Dunn, who's going to be with us in a few moments, and get his take on our military excursion in Iran. They're down to 2 or 3 of these speedboats. I say blow them up. I'm for getting out of the ceasefire, ending this thing, opening up the straits, taking over the islands, and giving them the New Jersey salute as we sink their final little speedboat. But that's just me. We'll see what Commander Dunn has to say when he's coming up here in a couple of moments, plus your calls. If you want to engage, that's 888-480-JOHN, 888-480-5646. Colonel William Burner Dunn coming up. Lots to talk about today. Let's talk about tomorrow. Dan on Godzilla Wins. Dan, are you going to be there tomorrow? Godzilla Wins, 9 to 11 a.m.?
I will be indeed.
Very nice, Dan. I know that I've got a host tomorrow. So normally I don't like hosting that Godzilla Wins show because I really just don't like doing it. I'd rather Mitch do it, who's a great host, but guess he's got soccer going on. So I'm going to be your host 9 to 11 a.m. on Godzilla Wins. But I'm kind of fired up tomorrow because we're going to the hockey playoffs. We have the Western Finals are set. Now, I took it on the chin yesterday after winning 4 in a row and 6 of 7 hockey picks. I went 0 for 2 last night, going down with the Sabres. You know, when I looked at that game, I said to myself, everything points to Buffalo. And when that happens, the other team always wins. Canadians, they looked faster. They looked faster last night. I did watch the game through the second period, then I had to go to bed. And the Ducks just laid the proverbial egg at home and got blown out by Vegas, who I'm not a believer in, so I don't think they get by the Avalanche. But all that tomorrow. This is not for today's show. But if you do want my picks now, once in a while I'll go, I'll lose 2 in a row and then I'll go back on a heater. So you want to go to GodzillaWins.com, GodzillaWins.com. And you know what's funny, Dan? We used to have GodzillaWins.com, and that was our site before we converted it over to WV Sports Nation and converted some of our writers over there. We used to do articles on there and same thing. And I would get maybe just not that much traction. That's kind of why we scrapped it. Now, all we do on that, you go to GodzillaWins.com, there are no articles. There's just picks and our analysis. That's it. That's all we have. And we're getting 3 times the activity we did when it was a full-fledged site. So you got to find out what people want. They just want to go there. They don't want to read an article. They just want what's your pick and why. And it helps when you're, 20 games over 500 in the NHL. That helps. So, but I did have 2 losers last night, and so I took it on the old Chinsky. But we're going to be right back at it tonight. My picks come out about 3 o'clock. Go to GodzillaWins.com, maybe 4. GodzillaWins.com. They're there. GodzillaWins.com. Also got Vincent Statler making picks, but we'll see what happens. Then we got a lot going on, Dan. Titans are happy about their. We open it with the Jets. I know.
That's deliberate scheduling.
I mean, I'm definitely going to that game. Now, we used to have season tickets. Ann doesn't want them anymore. You got to buy license fees and stuff. So screw that. But I'm definitely going the opener. I'm bringing Joe. Ann doesn't go to the Titans games. She doesn't. She'll go to Astro games, but the Astros still have a team? Okay, we're not talking about
I think so.
No, let's, you know what? Don't even bring it up. Let's move on. So, disastrous. So I am going to that Titans. I'm getting my tickets this weekend. I'm going to that Titans-Jets game. I wouldn't miss that for the world. That's going to be so much fun. Robert Saleh, former coach of the Jets, got ran out of New York, ran out of the Meadowlands on a rail. And then, of course, you got Daboll, who's our offensive coordinator, got fired from the New York Giants. So you can't, come on, man. You can't pick a better home opener than the Jets. It's got to be funny as hell.
Well, so, our teams play each other this year. Well, technically next year, January 3rd.
In Nashville.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely going to that game. By that time, we'll be, long out of it. The Steelers will be 9-8 or something.
Yeah.
And we can see
the proverbial 9-8 Steelers season.
We can see
10-7, 9-8.
Kick like 7 field goals.
Boswell, yeah,
they'll kick
Boswell's
7 field
great.
goals, and they'll beat the Titans 28-10 on the strength of 7 field goals. Oh my! I don't know how I got off on that tangent when we got wars to talk about in China and William Dunn.
You gotta have some brevity.
It's
It's a Friday after all. Yeah,
it's Friday, and by the way, don't look for me on a Friday afternoon.
That's right.
Those are my rules. Like I'll work Saturday, right? Godzilla wins. I'll do the show, and I get here at 5 a.m. most days. I get up at 3:45. I stay till after 5, sometimes 6. Go to the White House, but do not look for me on a Friday after 12 o'clock. You will not find me. In fact, today I'm going to the Maryland game, the Terps. They've got 2 more games. I think they got run ruled last night by Penn State. We're in the last place in the Big Ten. It has been an unmitigated catastrophe. Half the pitching staff is hurt, including Joe, who's been out the whole season. He pitched, 2 games, 3 games at the beginning of the season, all non-conference. Hurt his lat. He's recovering. No summer ball. He's in rehab. They're making him stay there until he gets where they want him to be. But it's been a catastrophic season for the Terrapins. Baseball, last place, Big Ten, worst pitching. I think their conference ERA is over 8. You just can't win games. Walks, hit batsmen. It's been we hit a little bit, but you're giving up 12 runs a game, you're not going to win. It has been a very tough season. So I'm going there today. We're having kind of a tailgate with the parents, and then Saturday's the final game, and that's it. Season is over. So no tournament for them. WVU baseball, on the other hand, is going to Omaha. Shut out again, shutting out the Horned Frogs last night. They've given up in the last 4 games like 5 runs in 4 games. Their pitching has been lights out. Ian Korn back. We're sending our beat writer to the tournament. Logan Powell's going to be out there. He leaves on Monday for Surprise, Arizona, so he's going to be covering the tournament. You'll want to catch all the action.
And congratulations to Logan in order as well, right? Doesn't he graduate this Sunday?
He graduates Saturday. Yep.
Saturday or tomorrow. Yeah. Well, congratulations to Logan. Yep. You did it. You made it.
Yeah, he's got his BA from West Virginia University in journalism, and of course he's our beat writer for baseball, and he's going out to the tournaments. He's really excited about it. I was on a conference call last night. I'm like, we need like 2 or 3 articles a day, probably 3. I want the vibe, talk to the parents. We put them at the same hotel that the team is at. So I said, look, catch the vibe. I want to know what's going on. Make us feel like we're there. It's a big opportunity for a young writer to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for him. He's earned this opportunity.
He's a great kid.
He is a great kid.
And a loyal Pittsburgh sports fan too, which I appreciate. So
Now, hosting Godzilla wins, not so much.
He'll get there. He'll get there.
A little bit fun. We love giving our young people a chance.
That's right. It's fun when he hosts. Poor Logan. We tease him mercilessly when he hosts the show.
Oh, that's because you can't stay up drinking until 3 a.m. Get up 5 to 9, not take a shower or comb your hair, put on an undershirt, and host the show. You can't really do that.
And then have a 20-minute long NBA minute. Let's talk about the NBA for a minute.
We bounced him from hosting. And then now cut our mics off.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm still mad about that. I didn't realize it was a joke. He was offended.
Yeah. Is he on today with the Virginia gang?
No, he's on vacation.
He's still on vacation. Okay.
It's a long-ass vacation. He's in Germany or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow,
he and I are German, so I told him all the places to go.
Deutschland.
You got to go back to visit. Got to go back to visit the homeland. Ann and I do that once in a while. That's where our family's from. All of them. Her family's from Munich. I don't even want to get into that. When we got married, our family was from urban Berlin, Hamburg. Her family, rural Munich. It's a division there. Then they argue about, whatever, right? It's just, forget it. Now they're all dead. 888-480-JOHN. Anyway,
The wall may be gone, but
Maryland baseball season mercifully ends on Saturday. But let me give you the good news, Dan. I know I got to get to Dunn. He's probably like, what are these guys doing? Hold here. I want to talk about the war.
This show will never air. Yeah.
Stop it, Colonel. It's Friday. Deal with it. By the way, Colonel, thanks for donating to my campaign. I should get him on early for that, shouldn't I?
That's right.
It's just bad. But mercifully, the Terrapins baseball season ends tomorrow. So I'm going to the game today. 2 more days, it's over. It's been horrible. But look, we've got a good young team. Next year's going to be better. But here's what I'm determined to do. They need a scoreboard. I've got a guy. I got a proposal. I'm meeting with all the facilities, protocol, bureaucratic people. I'm going to get this scoreboard done. I'm going to personally sell the ads with Playfly to fund it. And if there's anything I do for this team in my lifetime, I am getting them a scoreboard. They have a high school scoreboard in a Big Ten park. I mean, you just can't have that. So I'm determined to get it done. And, Dan, when I'm determined to do something, pretty much I get it done. So it's all good.
That is true.
Good.
So, yeah.
Speaking of that, we still have time for him, or do we just run the clock out? Colonel Dunn, I'm sorry for taking all your time here. Colonel William Burner Dunn, retired. Colonel.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. How you doing? You forgot to talk about the Buffalo Bills, which is my team, and hopefully they're going to make it to the Super Bowl this year.
What happened to Sabres last night?
I don't know. I didn't see the game. I saw the score this morning. It was very disappointing.
So I watched the first 2 periods. So it's 3-2 going in the second period. The first 7 minutes, the Sabres absolutely dominate the first. They had like 10 shots. Montreal had like 1. They actually dominated the first 7 minutes. And then Montreal got a breakaway goal to tie it. And then the wheels came off. I mean, then the rest of the game was played on the Sabres end. And I think you guys are – I bet them last night. I think we're done. I think they're done.
Oh.
The speed, and Dan, I've been saying this, all Godzilla wins. This is the fastest team in hockey. The speed they showed last night when some of the Buffalo veterans got gassed and they couldn't change the lines fast enough, those young 19-year-olds and the speed was too much for Buffalo to take. I think they're done. I think the Canadians go home, close this out. And I think they're going to give Carolina a tumble. I've been saying from day one, the Canadians were the team to watch. They're a bunch of 19-year-olds with 2 veterans like playing on an ice hockey pond. I mean, they're free spirits. They're fast. They got strong legs. I think they're going to be tough. I think the Sabres are done. That's just my estimation. Anyway, enough of that.
Hope not.
Good for the Bills.
But you never know.
Let's get to what's going on with this war, Bill.
Well, it's interesting. We've kind of walked ourselves into a stalemate. And I agreed a month ago we should not take out all of their infrastructure. We should not take out all their bridges, all their economic capability, because that becomes an attack against the Iranian people. But what we've done is and that was rational, by the way, to not do that, but to make the threat that we're going to do that, which I never make a threat unless I'm going to do it. And normally, what we shouldn't do is we should not tell them straight out, because we draw that line in the sand and then we don't do it. We give them talking points. We give the Democrats talking points. And then when we don't do it because we have this negotiation, if you will, then it makes us look a little bit weak there. And that's a problem, because what you cannot have is Iran looking strong in any area right now. And I think what we've done is we've let that rhetoric take place. And the Dems in our own country are helping the Iranians by their rhetoric. And, unfortunately, many of our fellow Americans, they look at a 30-second soundbite, and that's what they believe is gospel. And so what we've done is we've allowed the information warfare and the information game, if you will, to kind of hurt our plan. And it's actually pretty effective against us. So something has got to happen very soon.
Like what?
We either have to walk away, we either have to go blow something up, or we're going to have to make a maneuver such as taking one of the islands. There's a lot. I was down working with our U.S. Navy yesterday, and there's plans to do all sorts of things. We have to do something, but we cannot. What I would profess is we can't just sit there for another 30 days. And you and I talked earlier in the month. We have to have something resolved by July 4th, by the 250th anniversary, for our own information, operation, if you will, and then to get on track for the midterms, because that is going to be a huge factor.
Tell me about when you say we have to do something. I agree with you. You shouldn't make a threat you're not going to do. Why don't we just take these islands, open up the strait, and take it over? Why don't we just do that?
Well, we can absolutely do that. What that does is that puts a lot of our men and women at greater risk. But I would say every day you stay there and you do nothing, you are increasing the risk, because the enemy has a say in everything we do. They're watching. We've seen multiple small boat attacks, not effective. We're able to crush them. But the longer you wait, the odds go up that something, we'll call it an anomaly happens. One missile gets through, one boat gets through, and we have a bunch of dead Americans. And the tragedy of that is great enough. But then if you think of it politically and in the U.S., that becomes another talking point that one party will use against the Republican Party and the president just to make them look bad. And they won't care that we've lost, some men and women. And I hate to say this, but this is what I believe. I believe there are many of them that are hoping for something like that to happen. And I hate to say that, but I honestly believe that there are those that are hoping that we lose men and women just for a talking point to go against our president. And I hate to believe that, but I do.
I agree with you. I mean, we both know, and it is hard to say at this stage in our life, but we both know that there are scores of Democrats that are elected in their party that want to see us lose this war. They want to see body bags. They want to see a catastrophe. They want to see Iran stronger, winning, mocking us. I mean, that's what they want to see. They want oil prices at $110 a barrel. They want gas prices over $4. They want the American people to suffer. I mean, this is their lust for power usurps every other common sense boundary for an American.
And it's hard to believe that. And you're right, it is hard to say it, but it's true. We've seen it over the last 60, 70 days, just watching different news clips and just, watching the Chuck Schumers of the world. And they are literally boasting for our enemy.
It's quite incredible.
Well, what I would advise, not that the president called me this morning to ask, but if he did call, what I would advise him to do is to find, we know plenty of targets, find some more war supporting infrastructure and start hitting it every day. Focus on any there's some talk about launchers, and they've dug out some missiles. They can't dig out a missile without us knowing it. So let's go hit those missiles. Let's go hit other targets. Let's hit some more supporting infrastructure and do about a 7-day additional campaign that will shake, if you will, the remaining regime and hopefully get them, the negotiation looks like it's not going to work. We've tried. They've allegedly tried. It's not going to work. You're dealing with people that lie for a living. So I think it's going to, and I hate to say it, right? I hate to go back to conventional ops because it puts our brothers and sisters at risk, but I think it's time. And I think we'll see that. The president's on his way back. I think we'll see that soon.
How soon?
Maybe this weekend. Maybe first thing next week.
I mean, they give us proposals that are a joke, and we don't even know who's in charge. And what they give us is like ridiculous, like, reparations and give us money and give us another pallet of $1 billion and we get to keep our nukes. We're not going to do any of that. They keep the straight. I mean, we're not going to do any of this. So we just need to go in there and end this thing.
Yeah, I agree. And if you think about it, right? I don't know if there's a Persian word, if you will, for reparations, but I bet you they got that word from the Democrats. I bet you they did.
I don't think
there's no doubt in my mind that we have got to possess the enriched uranium. We've got to get it.
No doubt about it.
No doubt about it.
We can't. And I like what the president now, the discipline, no matter what they say, he just says, well, they just can't have a bomb, period. And that's his answer to every question. And I think he needs to stick to that. They just can't get a bomb. They can't get a nuclear weapon. And we're going to do what it takes to stop that, because we all know what would happen if they had one. Colonel Dunn, thank you for being with us. People want to read your book. They want to buy it. Where do they go?
You just go to Amazon.com, Gunfighters Rule. You can pull it up, and I think you'll quite enjoy it. It's I just had another friend read it, and once again, I keep hearing this. They say they want to make a movie out of it. We'll see if they do or not. Hopefully, one day they will.
Machine Gun.
John, we'll put you in. We'll put you in as the star of the show.
Oh, I want to go. I want to be in the movie.
That's right.
I want to be in it. Machine Gun Dunn. I just gave you a new name.
Okay,
Colonel. I like Machine Gun Dunn because, your book is, Gunfighters Rule. So I like Machine Gun Dunn. You comfortable with that?
I'll stick with Burner.
Burner Dunn. All right, Burner. Colonel, thanks for being with us. Don't forget to buy his book on Amazon, Gunfighters Rule. Rob Crilly, Inside Secrets, coming up on the John Fredericks Media Network. Stay with us.
Hey folks, Al Green here for SatPhone. When you're on the go, you want to know you're connected. If it's a family vacation or an off-the-grid escape to a remote destination, having reliable communication helps you feel safe and secure. You can't afford to find yourself in a dead zone. That's why you need SatPhone. SatPhones are reliable, durable, and give you global coverage. If you can get outside, you can get in touch. It's that simple. Make calls from your SatPhone to any regular cell phone in the United States. The phones are $1,500 value, but you can get yours free. Just sign up for a 15-month plan, $94.95 a month. Get 150 minutes monthly that roll to the next month. Go 3 months without using them, that's fine. Yes, 3 months, 450 minutes, all yours. Visit SAT123.com or call 855-980-5830. SAT123.com, 855-980-5830. Get surety and security with your sat phone. Call now.
For the first time ever, we're bringing you MyPillow mattresses and mattress toppers for as low as $99.98. Remember, sleep's all about temperature and pressure points. Whatever sleep needs you have, we have the right technology for you. Like our MyPillow mattress topper, our queen size has over 10,000 individual comfort supports to help relieve your pressure points. And how about our 3-inch Hybrid Plus mattress topper? It's infused with copper and silver to help your body get the restorative sleep it needs. And our MyPillow and Case Coil mattresses, I personally helped develop these mattresses to make sure they have everything needed to give us great sleep. Plus, they're made right here in the USA, and they ship right to your front door, absolutely free.
Go to MyPillow.com or call 800-854-0504 and use promo code Godzilla to get MyPillow mattresses and toppers for as low as $99.98 and free shipping.
Buddy Carter, warrior, great guy.
President Trump and Buddy Carter are working to help Georgians keep more of what they earn by passing the largest tax cut in history, eliminating taxes on tips and overtime, and making the child tax credit permanent.
Buddy Carter, warrior, great guy.
From day one, Buddy Carter has stood with President Trump on his mission to make life more affordable for working families. But while President Trump and Buddy Carter were protecting our wallets, Congressman Mike Collins was abusing them. Congressman Collins is under federal investigation for misusing taxpayer funds to benefit himself and his cronies. According to the investigation report, Congressman Mike Collins, quote, may have violated federal law by shelling out government funds to one of his top aides. Georgia families have had enough of wasteful, corrupt career politicians. We just can't trust or afford Mike Collins. Paid for by Buddy Carter for Senate.
I'm Buddy Carter, and I approve this message.
Folks, this is Crime Carmichael, CEO of Soul Tea. I have recently turned 77 years old. I do not take prescription drugs. I have not had to take prescription drugs, and I attribute a lot of my good health to a product that I've been taking, which is the active ingredient in Soul Tea. It's a 22% concentration of theaflavin. We did clinical trials on it 25 years ago and found that it helped lower cholesterol. We have had many, many hundreds of letters and emails from customers telling us how it has helped them not only manage their cholesterol, but lower their triglycerides and help them on their blood pressure. And I can't tell you how much I attribute to Soul Tea for my good health at age 77. And I encourage you to go to GodzillaHeart.com. That's GodzillaHeart.com. And use the code Godzilla at checkout, and you'll get a 50% off on your initial shipment of Soul Tea. And I promise you it will be a great help for your heart health. Thanks so much.
You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it. That's the great thing about sports. You play to win. And I don't care if you don't have any wins. You go play to win. When you start telling me it doesn't matter, then retire. Get out. Because it matters.
Don't touch that dial. You've found your home of the truth.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
With the best analysis in America.
You can't handle the truth.
And now back to the John Fredericks Show.
Well, you're on the John Fredericks Media Network and all the John Fredericks radio apps, and I am your Godzilla of the truth in America, coming live from your nation's capital. One of my favorite segments of the week, Rob Crilly, Washington Examiner, Secrets Inside Baseball. Rob, we call him. He's a hapless Mets fan, but when the Astros have the worst record in the major leagues, I have nothing to say. We are the Disastros, or we can call them the Lastros. Either way, baseball season's over for me. Rob, good to have you with us.
Nice to be with you. I gotta stand up for the Mets. We just swept the Tigers, so we're right back in it.
See, good. I hate the Tigers too. I hate Frauber Valdez, whatever his name is, jackass. We shipped them off. So as long as the Tigers lose, I'm fine with that. Hey, but I tell you what, we got this virus going on. It's not good. You know what? Got to get your medical emergency kit. Now, I'm serious. You and your family don't have one of these. You're really shortchanging your family. You're putting yourself at risk. We got this virus floating around out there, people dying in 3 days. You want to be able, if you get something, you want to be sure that at your fingertips, not in an emergency room, not in a hospital, not in a doc in the box, not in a clinic where you have to wait hours, at your fingertips. You have everything you need to solve your medical issue immediately. That is what this medical emergency kit provides you. And if this virus is going around, and if you get a strain of it, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, everything is in here immediately with a guidebook for you to take. Now, the other day you heard me last week on the air coughing multiple times. Dan had to cut off my mic, right? Coming down with something. As soon as the show was over, 10 a.m., opened it up, looked at my guidebook, got a cough, just came on. The Z-Pack, take that 2 a day, 3 days. Ivermectin, take that 2 days, 2 a day. Took all that, didn't miss a day. This is what you need to do to stay healthy, because you want to nip this stuff in the bud. And if something goes down, this is what you're going to need. And you don't need it until you don't have it. So order it today. You got to go through a doctor. These are prescription drugs, so you'll have to engage with the doctor online, answer questions, as you should, but it's a good process. Just go to twc.health/Godzilla, twc.health/Godzilla, promo code Godzilla, 10% off, twc.health/Godzilla, promo code Godzilla, 10% off. Do yourself a favor, do your family a favor. Every family should have one. And if you travel, get 2 of them. Always put it like I do. I've got 3, one on the bus, one here at home, which I take to the office, and the other one stays in my travel bag 100% of the time because I don't want to leave on a trip and forget it, so it's there. So when I get sick on the road, we have it. twc.health/Godzilla, promo code Godzilla. Thank you. Do yourself and your family a favor. Rob, good to be with you.
Great to be back. I was on vacation last week, so
I know.
I'm back. Yep.
It's good to have you back. So President Trump coming back today from Beijing. Define the trip from what you've seen. What do you think?
Well, my take is that it was a trip that was heavy on. Hang on a minute, you've got coffee.
Oh,
I heard it dripping behind us here.
Let's go.
Good man, good man. Well, look, it was a trip that was heavy on the pomp. Fantastic. Cheers.
1775 coffee. Is it good?
It's good. It's perfect. Thank you.
Told you.
It was a trip that was heavy on pomp. We had some business deals announced. 200 Boeing 737 MAX jets to be bought. There was some stuff about soybeans. There was some stuff about China buying more liquid natural gas. But really, when you look at that entourage that came with the president, you had the titans of tech, your Elon Musks, your Apples, your all the big IT guys, and then you had agrichemical leaders. You had a big business entourage. Did they get the deals they were looking for? I don't know. I think the winner in all of this was Xi Jinping. The strategy that China is pursuing is what someone like Michael Pillsbury, of course, the author of a very good book on China that was absolutely a must read in the first Trump administration. He talks about Chinese strategic patience. All they've got to do is sit tight, and their growing economy is going to come for the US. He had a very clear aim. He wanted to talk to Trump about Taiwan. We know he did that. But he also wanted to come out of this as an equal. And I think that was the key point. Everything they talked about, all the photo opportunities were this growing superpower acting like they were the equal of the US. So look, I think Trump got some of the stuff he wanted, but I think China is playing a much longer game. And ultimately, Xi Jinping came away as the winner in all of this.
And you define winner because of the optics of him looking like an equal?
Yeah. I mean, look, how much really came out of this? We know that when trade deals are done, you go back to 2020, the big China-US trade deal. I was in the East Room when it was signed. We know that China will make promises about buying soybeans that talk to the farmers. It never really gets done. So I think when you set aside the 200 737 jets, which is a good deal, but it's not 500, which has been talked about. And will China follow through on some of the other promises? I think every step that China is making here is about saying, well, look, this is a 2 superpower world now. In some ways, Trump played into that. He arrives at the airport. He's not greeted by Xi Jinping himself, the chairman of the China Communist Party, which is, we know, the power in China. He's met by the vice president. The president, Xi Jinping, is also the president. The president comes with no actual power. Similarly, the vice president, this is not like sending your J.D. Vance to meet a visiting dignitary. The vice president, it doesn't have a top role in the Chinese Communist Party. He's not part of Xi Jinping's inner circle. And this is Xi Jinping really just going through the motions. I thought the body language was interesting in some of this. The greeting on the red carpet when they shook hands for the first time. I've lost track of the days. Yesterday, Thursday. Was interesting. You have Xi Jinping planted firmly in the center of the red carpet. Trump approaches. Xi Jinping has his hand out. Trump goes for his famous power move, which, as you know, is to pull the hand in and not let go for 30 seconds. So he pulls the hand. Xi Jinping is ready. He pulls back, and he's out of it in 15 seconds. So Trump tried his power moves. Xi Jinping knew what he was doing. So look, these are smart operators on the world stage. Trump considers himself the greatest deal maker on the planet. Did he come away with deals? Yes. But this wasn't like his trip to the Middle East last year when he came away with hundreds of billions of dollars in deals. And I think all Xi Jinping ever wants out of this sort of thing is to be treated as an equal. Go back to when they met in South Korea. I was just thinking about this. I happened to be there covering that. You had a situation where Trump came into all the tariffs of last year. Remember, that was all about resetting global trade. The whole point with China was to try to stop China being the world's factory, the massive producer of everything we buy. The US strategy, masterminded, of course, by Peter Navarro, is to put pressure on China to become a consumer. We want them to buy our goods. Fine. Again, China says it's going to buy some more stuff. Great. But what does Xi Jinping also do? He resets all their 10-year, 15-year plans, absolutely with putting manufacturing at the heart of it. China's strategy has not changed. It will continue to position itself as a producer of all the stuff we like, all the electronics, anything with chips in. I mean, it wants to be selling us cars. That is absolutely the strategy. And Trump has not done anything to try and.
What about him saying that they're going to be buying oil and energy from us?
Great. I mean, let's see if it happens. I mean, I think that, and in terms of the size of the Chinese economy, this is all peanuts. You know, they have been building up their petroleum reserves as everyone else has been struggling with Hormuz. They're actually quite well positioned. Great. If they want to buy some more stuff from China, from the US, that's an easy thing for them to do. I don't know that it changes very much.
So it looked like one of Trump's objectives was to get them not to continue to help Iran. It looks like he got that done.
So look, I think this is an interesting question. I think what is being held as a breakthrough by some sections of the media is actually a restatement of existing Chinese positions. So two things. One, they say they're not going to help Iran militarily. Well, their position so far has been very complicated. The stuff they've been doing is the stuff that comes under dual use, so it's stuff that could be used in weaponry, but also has civilian applications. So I think China will tell you they've never been helping Iran militarily. Is there a commitment to stamp out the dual use stuff? I don't know. The other part of this aspect is you had China apparently committing to supporting the idea of keeping Iran nuclear free, not allowing Iran to have nuclear weapons. Well, that's long been the position of China. The last thing it wants is another nuclear rival. It's a signatory to the Non-Proliferation Treaty. And I can't remember, I think it was a signatory to the JCPOA, the 2015 deal to keep nukes out of the hands of Iran, which Trump ripped up. So look, I think the commitments that Trump has got from Iran, I think that's old news.
From China.
From China. I think that's old news. I think it's China restating positions we already knew about.
So, what was his objective was to go there and get them to cooperate with their effort in Iran. From all I read, the readouts, it appears that they accomplished that. I think you're taking the position they had it anyway.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think Iran. I think when it comes to Iran, China is always trying to play both sides, right? We know that they want to sell their stuff to anyone. They'll buy stuff from anyone. They're sort of ideology free, but I don't think they want Iran getting nuclear weapons. I think that's their stated position. I think that when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz, it's an international waterway, so their position would be this should be open. Trump did trumpet that he'd got a concession from China to support the US on that. I suspect it was their existing position. And again, when it comes to not supplying military weapons to Iran, that's been their stated position all along. The grey area is this dual use stuff that can be used for both civilian purposes and military purposes. And we're not hearing any specifics or details on what China has exactly agreed to. So I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical that there's been a huge step forward. I mean, look, one of the things that was talked about before this is that clearly China has its eyes on Taiwan, and clearly it wants Washington to step back from any position that it might protect Taiwan in the event of a Chinese invasion, right? So there was this talk that perhaps Trump would offer some concessions on Taiwan in return for China taking steps on Iran. But like that's not the sort of deal Beijing is going to get into. It's made clear that Taiwan is not is not a position that can be
Negotiated from our
it won't
position,
negotiate its position on that. So look, I think that the optics are all nice. I think it is good. Let's not get away from this. It is good for the world when the leaders of the two biggest economies are making nice and sitting down for dinner. I don't want to. I'm not trying to say that this was all a huge waste of time, but I think there are many positive things in this. But I don't see any real fundamental breakthroughs in Trump and Xi's position.
Other than it's good to have a dialogue when you have two powerful rivals in the world that have military weapons and big armies. It's good to have the dialogue, and I'm sure when he comes here in September, the same thing is going to happen the opposite way. I'm sure that's fine, but I didn't go into this with this, I guess, these great expectations, and I think sometimes on our side, Trump's the greatest deal maker ever. He's gonna roll Xi. He's not gonna roll Xi. Nobody rolls Xi, and nobody rolls Trump. So they have their positions, and it seems like okay, they're gonna buy some oil, good. They're gonna buy 200 jets, good. Maybe they'll buy some soybeans, good. Maybe they're gonna buy them anyway. Who knows? But he did get the commitment that they don't want Iran to have a bomb. They never did, and they're not going to help them in the war with us. And which brings us to this war and brings us to the stalemate and the nonsense that's going on. I think the ceasefire, Rob's a joke. I mean, I don't know what the hell we're doing. I mean, we just had William Dunn on. I agree with him. If you're going to say you're going to bomb them. I mean, it's another ceasefire. They got these little ships out there. Sink those, open up the straits, and end this thing.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's much easier to start a war than it is to end a war. And I think that's what the president is realizing now. Venezuela, I mean, that I think really colored his judgment. It was easy. He went in and he got it done. There were naysayers. He said, well, you're going to spark unrest, a civil war. It's going to be chaos. None of that happened. He went with his instincts. He went with his key advisors, and he got the job done very fast. And I just think he thought Iran was going to be like that. And that's certainly what the likes of Senator Lindsey Graham was sort of whispering in his ear at the golf course, a couple of weeks before the war. He said, look, this could be a brilliant political move. You could go into the midterms demonstrating the strength of American power. But Trump is clearly looking for a way out. The Iranians clearly want a way out. I've covered a lot of conflicts. I've covered the Middle East for a long time and South Asia. And the thing with all of these is you've got to find some sort of face-saving deal that both sides can sell to their people as a win. Problem is that's not Trump's instinct. He wants the clear win. But Iran is dug in. So unless you're prepared to keep this going for not months, but years, there isn't going to be a clear win. So I think it's a real mess.
So we can get a half a win, and the half a win is they don't have a bomb, and we're going to make sure they don't have a bomb, and we're going to open up the straits. And to me, to have them continue to control the straits would be to me just a disaster. If there's nothing we get out of this thing, we've all realized why are they in control of the straits for the last 50 years. And I think he's got to do that. But you're right. I mean, this thing is, we got to get this over with. We got to get it over before, I was saying Memorial Day, not going to happen. Now it's going to be the end of June. We stay in another month. I think once we do that, gas prices go down and he's going to be in good shape. But I don't think there's any question now. When they went into Venezuela, they had a regime change plan. And the regime change was their vice president who was going to play ball with us. This is what everybody doesn't realize. I mean, that's why she went on the vacation to the island while they went in there and took the Cuban defenses out. And then they brought her back because, the CIA had already negotiated with her that she was going to take over and play ball with us. Otherwise, she'd meet the same fate. Well, they don't have that here.
No. I mean, and Iran was ready, right? We know that for every high-ranking position, they had deep end. They had 3, maybe 4 people line up, knowing that people were going to die. They were ready for this. They had their plan. I mean, this has been, this is a nation that's been preparing for this existential war for a generation. So this is not, and also I think intelligence people will tell you it's a hard target. It's hard to get good intelligence. Now, the Israelis, we know, had all sorts of intelligence coming out, and I'm sure the US did as well. But all of that intelligence would have been telling you the same thing. This is tough. These people are prepared. These are ideologues. I mean, Venezuela essentially was what a cartel operating as a government.
No, these are crazy religious fanatics that are willing to die in order to go to see their virgins or whatever the hell they believe over there. But the thing is, they're all insane. They're nuts, and that's what you're dealing with. Any other inside secrets you found?
Well, I tell you, I want to come back to China. I want to come back to China because in secrets, I like to find the stuff that other people aren't really noticing. And there are a couple of things I want to flag about what a difficult place it is to visit. Chinese spies are everywhere. And you can imagine if the president of the United States and all his top-ranking officials arrive in the country, not to mention all the journalists that come with them, you can bet your bottom dollar that the Chinese spies had their claws out, ready to get whatever they could. So, did you notice at the banquet yesterday that Trump made a toast to his hosts? He raised a glass and he took a sip. As he doesn't drink. I suspect it was water or some apple juice or something like that in his glass. The moment he lowered his glass from his lips, there was an American aide on hand to take the glass away. The Secret Service is not going to allow Trump to drink from a glass and his Chinese hosts take it away. You could get DNA evidence, you could certainly get fingerprints. And that's just one of the sort of protocols you follow. I suspect for the president, they do it wherever he goes, but you do it to the nth degree in China. Similarly, I was just reading a pool report from one of the journalists traveling with Trump on the plane. In one of her pool reports just before they left, she described how officials, before they got on the plane, there was a big bin at the bottom of the steps. Any electronics, they've been told to use burner phones, I'm told, while in China. They still went into a big bin. They weren't allowed on Air Force One with any electronics that had been used in China. And I suspect they were whisked off to the Chinese embassy, to the American embassy in Beijing to be disposed of in some super safe way. And I know my journalistic colleagues, they were all using burner phones. Everybody, you fire up on a local network there, and people are going to be straight into your phone. So even your burner phone could be giving away kind of vital information. So that was one thing that secrets noticed. One of the other sides of a visit, you got to be very, very careful with all your electronics in China.
Well, and a lot of the media was hassled there, as we understand it. In fact, let's play Are you able to stay for a couple more minutes?
Sure.
I got out of the break. We just got a couple more minutes, but let's get to. Was this from? Yeah, this is from.
You're going low tech on me. What's with the paper now?
I printed it out because I don't. Dan, find the one Peter Ducey. The one from Peter Ducey. I don't have that handy. There it is. Dan, find the one from the clip from Peter Ducey talking about how they were hassled. If you can find that, I have gone lower tech today, trying to get a little more organized. But you have that, Dan?
Cut 21.
Yeah, roll it.
She told President Trump that he is not selling weapons to Iran on the heels of this Washington Post report suggesting that the Chinese are using the Iran war to undermine the U.S. on the world stage. But despite some very frank conversations about Taiwan and Iran, President Trump has been sticking to his script and the punchlines.
As allies in World War II, President Franklin Roosevelt's mentions of the brave people of China, that's what they were, drew loud cheers in his speeches in the United States, and everybody loved what he had to say. Just as many Chinese now love basketball and blue jeans. Chinese restaurants in America today outnumber the 5 largest fast food chains in the United States, all combined. That's a pretty big statement.
And there was some laughter after the translation. It's worth pointing out there have been some heated and physical clashes between the Secret Service and the Chinese police on basically at the back doors of these events, including one very physical standoff where a Secret Service officer was being prevented from taking his weapon in as part of the protective detail. But things have all been ironed out, and as far as we know, the schedule has not been changed because of that. Martha.
Yeah, well, it's
Okay, so we were reading about that. You know, both of us get the readouts from the press and how the press and the Secret Service were being hassled on a continual basis. We got to get top of the hour news here. And Rob and I'll be right back. Stay with us.
Trump-Xi summit is history. President Trump now on his way back home from China.
President Donald Trump left Beijing Friday following a final meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping.
This has been an incredible visit. I think a lot of good has come of it. We've made some fantastic trade deals, great for both countries.
She described the 2 days of meetings as historic and landmark. Before their closed-door lunch, she gave Trump a tour of Zhongnanhai, the former Imperial Gardens, which is now the seat of power. Trump says she told him that China wants to help negotiate an end to the Iran war and a reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. And he says she assured him that China would not provide Iran with military equipment. I'm Donna Warder.
The president says he has not yet decided whether a major U.S. arms sale to Taiwan can go through. China staunchly opposes the transaction and has made its feelings known in no uncertain terms. And while global attention focuses on the U.S.-China summit, Russia steps up its assault on its neighbor.
Ukraine's President Zelensky said that a Russian missile attack on a Kyiv apartment building the previous day has killed 24 people. That includes 3 teenagers.
Correspondent Samia Kulab. CIA Director John Ratcliffe has visited Cuba. State media reports high-level Cuban government officials held talks with Ratcliffe, trying to assure him that Cuba poses no security threat to the United States. The communist island suffers a severe energy crisis in the midst of a U.S. blockade. On Wall Street this morning, the Dow futures are down 303 points. NASDAQ futures 383 points in the red. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Maybe this is you too. There's enormous frustration right now with healthcare costs. It is amazing. Healthcare costs for families in the last 20 years have almost tripled, and it just keeps getting worse. All this to say, this is why MediShare is so in demand right now. People are looking for alternatives, and MediShare is proven you can save thousands of dollars a year and actually like it more. Over 1 million Americans are now part of healthcare sharing, and MediShare is the gold standard. It's trusted. It works. It's been helping people save money and have peace of mind now for 30 plus years. It's not some big impersonal thing either. It's a community of people like you helping each other. So yeah, if you're frustrated too, here's your chance to make a refreshing change. You'll notice the difference as soon as you call. They're easy to talk to. You can get a price within 2 minutes. Here is the number. Call 844-41-BIBLE. That's 844-41-BIBLE. 844-41-BIBLE.
Iran's economy has hit a weak point following Operation Epic Fury.
The Trump administration says its economic pressure campaign against Iran is continuing as the United States targets the regime's financial networks, oil revenue, and Chinese companies accused of helping Tehran evade sanctions. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says the U.S. will continue targeting anyone helping Iran move money and fund the Iranian regime. Willie Nelson, Washington.
And tensions are escalating again near the Strait of Hormuz after a ship that was anchored off the United Arab Emirates was seized and taken toward Iran. Another was attacked. It sank near the coast of Oman. The incidents came as a senior Iranian official repeated his country's claim to the waterway. Another Iranian official says Tehran has every right to seize any oil tankers that have any ties to the United States. News and analysis at townhall.com. Some parents say that when it comes to their kids in the classroom, the latest isn't always the greatest.
Parents across the country who are worried about excessive screen time in schools are lobbying educators to go back to pencils and paper. In places like Pennsylvania's Lower Merion School District, some families are taking it even further. Over 600 people have signed a petition asking to preserve parents' ability to opt their children out of digital devices, setting off a clash with the school district. At a meeting Monday night, school board members said it's not feasible to let hundreds of students opt out of technology that's essential to the curriculum. Keith Peters, Washington.
Half dozen passengers from a cruise ship hit by the hantavirus outbreak have arrived in Australia for a quarantine expected to last at least 3 weeks. A jet carrying 5 Australians, 1 person from New Zealand, landed today at an airbase outside Perth. More on these stories, townhall.com.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cell's Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's healthycell.com, code GODZILLA for 20% off.
Now more than ever, it's imperative to support companies that share our conservative values. That's why I can't be more excited to tell you that I've switched my family to Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you shift your support away from the leftist, woke, progressive agendas of Big Mobile. Patriot Mobile's wireless service works perfectly and seamlessly as you go about your lives with exceptional nationwide coverage that uses the same towers the main carriers use. Patriot Mobile donates a portion of every dollar earned to causes you care about, to organizations that fight for religious freedom, First and Second Amendments, sanctity of life, and the needs of veterans and first responders. Patriot Mobile has plans to fit any budget, along with great discounts for our veterans and first responder heroes, as well as multi-line users. Switching is easy. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Godzilla or call their U.S.-based customer service team, 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-728-7468. Use offer code GODZILLA for free activation.
Hey folks, Al Green here for SatPhone. When you're on the go, you want to know you're connected. If it's a family vacation or an off-the-grid escape to a remote destination, having reliable communication helps you feel safe and secure. You can't afford to find yourself in a dead zone. That's why you need SatPhone. SatPhones are reliable, durable, and give you global coverage. If you can get outside, you can get in touch. It's that simple. Make calls from your SatPhone to any regular cell phone in the United States. The phones are $1,500 value, but you can get yours free. Just sign up for a 15-month plan, $94.95 a month. Get 150 minutes monthly that roll to the next month. Go 3 months without using them, that's fine. Yes, 3 months, 450 minutes, all yours. Visit SAT123.com or call 855-980-5830. SAT123.com, 855-980-5830. Get surety and security with your sat phone. Call now.
Trump 2.0 is in full effect. How do you keep up with all the action? I'll tell you. TrumpNationNews.com is your inside source for the inside scoop. Manufacturing, jobs, deportations, and the nation's rejuvenation. The first 100 days and beyond. All the news you need and no liberal gibberish. It's the perfect way to start your day. Sign up for the TNN newsletter. Do it today. TrumpNationNews.com. TrumpNationNews.com. Part of the John Fredericks Media Network.
Hey parents, plan an unforgettable summer. Send your kids to Rapidan Baptist Camp in Rochelle, Virginia. 1 week of nonstop fun and life-changing truth. Amazing preachers, friendly counselors, exciting activities. Ride an alpine coaster and zip line, a 250-foot water slide, and that's just the beginning. Junior camps for ages 7 to 12, teen camps for 13 to 18, 2-day Pee-wee camp with mom and dad for ages 4 to 8, and a brand new day camp option. Sign up today at camprapidan.com. That's camprapidan.com. Rapidan Baptist Camp, where faith and fun collide.
Mike, at any point in your coaching career, did you ever have an interest or express an interest in being a head coach in the college game? And do you have any idea how that may or may not have led to folks like Ryan and Doug Whaley and Carson Palmer connecting you to some college jobs?
Hey, guys, I don't have time for that speculation. I mean, that's a joke to me. I got one of the best jobs in all of professional sport. Why would I have any interest in coaching college football? That'll be the last time that I address it. And not only today, but moving forward. Never say never, but never. Okay? Anybody else got any questions about any college jobs? There's not a booster with a big enough blank check.
Anyone else? All right.
Thank you. Anybody asking Sean Payton about that? You know, anybody asking Andy Reid about stuff like that?
He's your Godzilla of the truth in America. No gibberish or nonsense, just common sense. And now back to the John Fredericks Show.
Oh, you're back on the John Fredericks Media Network. Great to have you with us. TGIF. It's Friday. Rob Crilly with us. Rob is the author of Secrets. You can get his column, Inside Baseball, every day. It's a really fun read. Go to WashingtonExaminer.com/secrets. Do it now. Just bookmark it. WashingtonExaminer.com/secrets. Now, you can sign up for their email alert, but it's not working yet.
It's a work in progress. It's not ideal. I know. I'm sorry.
But just go to WashingtonExaminer.com/secrets, and you can get them every day. I read. It's a fun read. It's a short, breezy read. You got inside baseball stuff. It's a lot of fun. And WashingtonExaminer.com/secrets, and just get it there every day. And you got to feel like you're a little bit in the know from things that he picks up. I just gave him an idea for a story because I'm his friend and I have a big heart.
No, it's good. A good idea. Let's not. I'm going to keep it under my hat for now.
Of course, you got to.
You'll read it next week.
I give you a little insight there, and then you get a big story. And our big event coming up, which we need as many people there as we can. Tickets only $50. Just go to makedcgreat.com. Go ahead and put that graphic up. We're going to have so much fun. June 16th at the City Tavern. That's in Georgetown. We want you there. We're going to have a blast. We got great speakers. Congressman Morgan Griffith confirmed. He's going to be there. He can't wait. He's going to have fun. Who else is there? Treasurer, United States Treasurer, Brandon Beach, guy that signs your money. He's going to be there. He's going to fire everybody up. And then, of course, our keynote speaker, the one and only Corey Lewandowski, New York Times bestseller 2 times. Also, Corey of Trump fame and still in the inner circle. So Corey Lewandowski is going to be there. Brandon Beach, Morgan Griffith. Tickets only $50. Just go to makedcgreat.com. Great food, open bar. We're going to have a lot of fun. Now, if you can't make it, that's fine. Donate to our campaign anyway, so we can give the tickets away to college Republicans, right? So that would be good, right? So help us out. Let's go to makedcgreat.com. Makedcgreat.com. My election victory party. In fact, I just got my ballot in the mail yesterday. I got 3 ballots, one for me, one for Ann, and one for Joe, who's a resident where we live. And so the ballots come in the mail in D.C. without even asking for them. Did you get a ballot? Are you D.C. resident?
I am a D.C. resident. I'm a non-citizen, however.
Oh, so you can't vote.
Well, I think
so you can get a ballot anyway.
I think I probably can in D.C. But anyway.
All you have to, do you have a electric bill?
I do, yeah.
That you can vote. Doesn't matter if you're a citizen or not. Everybody votes here, right?
Yeah,
they'll probably, because you're not a citizen, you probably get 3 ballots.
Well, who would I vote for, John?
Me. Vote for me. But no, technically you can't. But you guys got to walk up and vote. They don't want ID. They don't want anything. You don't even have to be a registered voter. You can just go vote. So it's kind of a funny system. I'm not going to make fun of it because I'm part of it now. Like I'm part of the system, right? So I get my 3 ballots. And Ann is like, where are the other candidates? I'm like, Ann.
If you can't rely on Ann, what are you going to do?
I said, sweetie, she said, I didn't apply for a ballot. I didn't fill out the absentee. I said, no, see, we live in Washington, D.C. You're a registered Republican. They mail you a Republican ballot.
Okay.
And if you were, she said, well, what ballot do you get if you're an independent? Well, you don't get a ballot because you're not registered to a party. So you get a ballot as an independent come the fall, but Democrats get a Democrat ballot and you get a Republican ballot. She says, well, for mayor, I want to vote for McDuffie. I'm like, you can't vote for McDuffie. You're a registered Republican. So you get a Republican ballot.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the good news. You can vote for me. She's like, okay, well, that's good. So I got her vote. I got Joe's vote.
Are you sure you've got her vote?
Oh,
That
yeah.
sounded very,
no, I saw her fill it out. I saw
okay,
her color the little thing in. So I got 3 votes.
Well,
right.
Good,
Well,
that's a start. Got to start.
Joe's going to be back next week. I'll get his vote. I got 3. Plus, I got people in my condo thing that live there. I got to go knock on their door. So send your ballot in. But it's kind of funny here. They just mail out ballots. So don't even ask, right? You get it. There's got to be a way to take advantage of that. But come to our event. It's going to be so much fun. Just go to makedcgreat.com, makedcgreat.com. We're opening up to Preferred Press.
Oh, who's your preferred press?
Rob Crilly.
Oh, excellent. That very much preferred.
Preferred press. I said that. I tell Rob offline. I sold Lewandowski. I'm like, I'm opening up to Preferred Press. He's like, define preferred. I'm like, Rob Crilly, Washington Examiner. Good, great.
He has to say that. Good.
Good,
Please,
great.
please.
He said, good, great. So it's all good. Finish us up here.
Okay.
I know you have to go.
Well, so I've been having a look at the North Carolina Senate race. Crucial race, right? The Democrats have got to flip that. It's an open seat, but Republican held. They have to win that if they're going to have any chance of winning the Senate. We could talk about Maine, we could talk about Alaska, but if they don't win North Carolina, it's all over. Question for you. How do you think Michael Whatley, the Republican candidate, is doing so far?
He's a first-time candidate.
You're making excuses.
I'm not there. He's behind in the polls.
Right. So let's talk about that. The polls have him behind anything. He's running against Roy Cooper, 2-term governor, who's an unusually popular Democrat in a southern state. So he's up against a tough opponent.
With a lot of money.
With a lot of money. A huge fundraising base. Whatley most polls have him behind 5 points to 10 points. Bad news. I've heard some people in the Republican Party been telling me they worry that Whatley's kind of given up before he even got started. I have good news for Michael Whatley and Republicans in North Carolina and Republicans who want to hold on to the Senate. A friend of mine at JL Partners, James Johnson, one of the best pollsters in the business, got the 2024 presidential election bang on. His forecast for the 2024 Senate results, bang on. He's been taking a look at the polling numbers, and he's got a theory. The reason he got the 2024 numbers right on both Trump and on the Senate was he tended to estimate that more Republicans would turn out than most other pollsters forecast. And what he did to model this, he would go through the results of all the polling and he'd look at the undecideds. And he would look at the undecideds and say, well, look, you've actually got people here who voted Republican last time. Maybe they voted for Trump in 2020, but they're now saying they haven't made up their mind. So what he does is he went through that and he just tried to work out who they were most likely to come down on if they were forced to, whether it be Republican or Democrat. So he would reallocate those undecideds to the red column or the blue column, depending on the answers to other questions, such as, who did you vote for last time? He's gone through all the Senate polling, and he has found that in general, there are more Republicans tied up in those undecided numbers. And the greatest impact of that is in North Carolina. So when you look at the undecideds, he's getting around about 45% of those voted for Trump in 2024 or are registered Republicans or have voted Republicans in the past when they voted, compared to about 31 or 32% of those people who voted for Kamala Harris in 2024 or voted Democratic in the past. So when you take all of that into account, Michael Whatley is no longer 10 points behind. If you believe those undecideds will, in the end, pick one side or the other, he's actually within the margin of error of a lot of those polls. And in one recent PPP poll, he's actually got a very narrow lead. So that race is not over. And of course, we're months away. Are we really trying to forecast anything? But the point is, Michael Whatley is not out of that race yet. He faces a tough race. I think the Democrats would tell you that's one of the places they think they're going to pick up But if you dial down into those numbers a bit more deeply, it's perhaps not as bleak as you might have thought.
He's a closer. They're running a very risk-averse campaign.
Right.
And when I look at somebody behind that's running a risk-averse campaign, it's normally a new candidate, like he is, trying to feel his way, doesn't want to make a mistake, and but we're very early, so that's good news. Those of us that know Michael Whatley know he's a tireless worker. He's very tough. He resonates with the base very well, and that's really what he's been focused on. If he can continue to do that, I think he's got an opportunity. And I just had the chairman on of the Republican Party in my chairman's corner of North Carolina, Jason Simmons, who said that their strategy there is to just wait things out, wait till it gets closer, and then to start reminding people of all the nonsense that went on in the Cooper administration.
Mm-hmm.
They've not really spent the money to do that, it's too early to define them. But they also have a registration edge now.
Yes.
For the first time ever in registered Republicans. First time that's ever happened. And that was over the last 60 days. So he said, all we have to do is get our voters to vote for Whatley and not for Cooper. And that's the margin of victory because there's more of us than there are of them.
Yeah. So look, a whole bunch of things in there. As I say, Republicans in North Carolina are concerned about the way things are going. But maybe this is all part of the strategy. Sit tight, hold on to your coffers, start spending later in the race. And yeah, we're still, almost 6 months away. So let's not get carried away.
Right. Six months is a long time.
Yeah. But I think the problem with some of what you've said, of course, is the problem that Republicans all across the country are going to face is like, what proportion of voters are you going to lose by President Donald Trump not being on the ballot this time around?
I'm going to give you some of my analysis on that, because 2 months ago, I'd agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Trump's not on the ballot. Base doesn't turn out. That script got flipped in Indiana,
mm-hmm.
and it got flipped in Virginia on the referendum. And I'll tell you why. It started in Virginia with that referendum where we were down by 30 points and became a base election. And in order to get competitive, we were outspent 10-1. You had to get the Trump voters out. They only come out for him. We didn't even have a candidate on the ballot.
Mm-hmm.
It was a map that nobody even understood, a ballot language. It was confusing. That was written in a deceptive way. And we got massive Trump turnout in Southwest Virginia in the final 2 weeks. Massive. Almost, it actually would beat what Glenn Youngkin got in 21. So we proved there, Trump voters, like they poked the bear and they're coming out. Then you go to the Indiana debacle for them, and Trump voters came out to vote for people that they never heard of in obscure state Senate races against incumbents with name ID. They came out to vote for no names that got outspent, a lot of independent expenditures. But we got the Trump voters out twice.
Right.
For what?
Yeah.
Right? State Senate races that no one heard of the other guy or gal, and a referendum. So that might be changing. That gives you optimism. But I really think where the Democrats are done is Maine. There is no way this guy wins Maine.
Yeah. No,
that was a seat they could have flipped. Janet Mills, probably 50-50, maybe a slight favorite. But there is no way this guy wins that seat.
Yeah, look, I think the Senate...
I mean, have you read anything he said? Guy's nuts.
I think the Senate race is more interesting now. The overall national Senate picture is more interesting and competitive now than it was 6 months ago because of gas prices, because of the war in Iran, because Trump's approval ratings are absolutely kind of at rock bottom. But I think everything has to line up for the Democrats. Maine is going to be a problem. We've just been talking about North Carolina, which is, if that doesn't go, they're done.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually now looking tougher than I thought. So I think,
you got to look at, they got to flip 4 seats. What states are they going to flip? Okay, give them North Carolina. What else? They're not going to win Maine. Well, they're not going to win Ohio.
Maine and Alaska. So North Carolina, they've totally got to go. Then you've got Maine and Alaska, And then you still need Ohio, Michigan, right? I mean, those are the two really tough ones. And we're starting to say, well, Maine's not going to go. North Carolina's going to be harder.
The math is tougher. Yeah.
It feels like there was a window a couple of weeks ago where things were lining up for Democrats. Feels like it's switching back.
And why do they think they're gonna win Alaska?
I mean, it's always that's one they always point to, right? It's always in play. It doesn't have quite the same politics as the rest of the country.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean,
they're not going to win Alaska. Yeah. I mean, they're not going to. They won that congressional seat one time, and then she got bounced. They're not going to win that seat. And the only reason they won that congressional seat is because Sarah Palin's approval rating in Alaska was 22%. I got these people telling me, ranked choice voting. No, she was at 22%. Like, people don't like her, and like they didn't vote for her. So ranked choice voting doesn't have anything to do with it. But I think the math for the Senate's harder. Yeah. 3 weeks ago, no shot that the Republicans hold the House. Yeah. Zero chance, I thought. Yeah. 0 times 0 is 0. They gained the 4 seats in Virginia. Now they're not going to win any of those. They might have won one without it, possibly 2. Now they're not going to win any of them because they poked the bear. People in Virginia pissed. No way they win a seat there. That's foregone. Mm. And by my math, the redistricting with Missouri, with South Carolina, without Mississippi, and without Georgia, plus 12.
Yeah.
So they went from a shoo-in to now they're down 16 from where they were, down 16 in total. When you add the 4 we have, plus 12, that's 16. Then you take Maine, that's gone. LePage is up by 27. Now there's plus 17, and Camden, Ohio is done. Now the plus 18. I don't think they have 18 seats.
It gets tougher. I haven't dialed it down in district by district.
Dial it down.
Well, I'm gonna. I need to dig into this. Now you put me on the spot.
Secrets.
You've done the math.
I'm here for you.
I still think.
What better host can you have? I've given you 2 column ideas in 15 minutes.
I still think Democrats have got the momentum. We're obviously at that difficult part of the cycle where Republicans control everything. That means they're going to get a kicking. Gas prices crazy high. So I wouldn't be taking a victory lap just yet. I think, and there's a long way to go. I mean, I don't think this redistricting fight is over. There's going to be more challenges, more court cases. And by the way, I think this is no way to settle an election in the courts. I think it should be settled on the issues.
I love it. There's no issues. What are you talking about? Issues?
Well, I mean,
Rob, there's no issues.
If Republicans win, it's because they've got the better lawyers. That's
it's like let me tell you what this election's about. My audience wants to talk about issues, right? There's no issues. It's ballots in boxes and maps. That's it. You got 3 things. Got to get a ballot. Like I just got mailed to me in DC. You got to fill it out. Got to put it in the box, and then you got to get a favorable map. That's how you win. Nobody cares about the issues anymore. No. It's ballots, boxes, and maps, dude.
Yeah. No, fair. I get it.
And lawyers.
I mean,
judges.
The lawyers.
Judges.
Are the lawyers the winners in everything? They're always the winners, right?
We're in the wrong
why
business.
Why are we lawyers? Why aren't we
lawyers? Are lobbyists. Yeah. Do you ever think about being a lobbyist? You know how many friends I have that were in my business are now lobbyists, and they make like bukus of money and work like half the hours I do. You could be a lobbyist.
I wouldn't want to be a lobbyist.
Me either. It's greasy.
Yeah. I mean, I could use the money. I could use the money, but yeah. Also, I'm not allowed. I'm on a work visa. I have to be a journalist, so I'm stuck. Yeah.
That's true. I'm not, but I would never be a lobbyist. Yeah. Imagine doing that. First of all, the first thing you'd have to do is you have to go buy 3 $15,000 rattan or Armani suits. That's the first thing you got to do. Then you got to go get a $15,000 Rolex watch. So now you got to invest what? Plus you got to buy nice tailored shirts. That's what? For $45,000, $60,000, $75,000 just to like show up.
You know what? The first thing I'd take you for lunch. I'll take you for a nice lunch somewhere around here, right? We go for a lobbyist steak lunch. How's about that?
That's right. Yeah. With a couple of martinis, right? Yeah. Unbelievable.
At least.
So listen, I know you got to go. I've already given you all the ideas I'm going to do.
Brilliant.
And thanks for coming to my event on June 16th. Go to WashingtonExaminer.com/secrets, WashingtonExaminer.com/secrets. What's your today's Friday? What's the story Monday? Give us a teaser.
It's going to be along the lines of what did Amy Kramer do next? Remember her? So she was a key part of the Tea Party when it set up. She was one of the key organizers for the January 6th Ellipse rally, where Trump asked people to fight, to take the fight to Democrats. Then everyone marched up to Congress. She now is running a big AI pressure group. Everybody's getting on AI safety, right? So humans first, that's what she's running. It's all about making sure that developments in AI come with some regulation that protects children, protects families, protects jobs. So, but there's some interesting stuff around that. There's a lot of money involved now. So I'm just having a bit of a dive into.
I can't wait. That's on Monday?
Yeah, should be a good one.
She's a national committee woman from Georgia.
That's right. That's correct.
And so without giving your story away, does it feel grifty to
you? She's very clear that she can't be bought. So these questions always float around. I mean, anyone who's anyone now is getting in on the AI game because that's where the money is crazy. And the big AI are not just taking on lobby groups and PR firms. They are actually paying the salaries of staffers in congressional offices. They are directly paying the salaries of journalists who are writing about the subject. You don't know who to trust or who to believe.
Wait a minute. Say that again.
Yeah. So they are directly paying salaries of staff. So the big company, the one in particular that's interesting is Anthropic, right? So this is
what is Anthropic? So Claude?
It's Claude, yeah. So it's one of the big AI companies, and they are their shtick, their unique selling point is that they are pushing for more regulation than some of the other companies. They are saying we are the responsible company with guardrails, and they are putting people into position who can shape and influence the debate. There's so much money.
So how do you pay a staffer?
Well, they come through an institute they've set up, which basically trains people in AI, and then they place them directly into staffers' offices.
What did you say they were paying journalists?
Yeah, so they are sponsoring positions for journalists at different news organizations. They are paying for, in a complicated roundabout way, there are groups like Open Philanthropy, which are, say, for example, sponsoring a series in The Guardian.
Like sponsored news stories.
So they have a disclaimer saying this is part of a reworked series paid for by Open Philanthropy. Then you look into it, it turns out Open Philanthropy have actually bought shares in Anthropic. So all of this stuff is going on and people don't know about it. It's extraordinary.
That's Monday.
Yeah, we all need a bit of this money.
You can't do that in one column.
No, I can't. But what I can do is just dip. So I'm just looking at what Amy Kramer is doing and her outfit.
But you're going to continue with this.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing about these sponsored posts. They're not really posts, they're content. There's nothing wrong with sponsored content if you have the disclaimer in our business that says it's sponsored content.
You have to have a disclaimer, but the complicated thing is the likes of Anthropic are putting money through all sorts of different philanthropic groups, and you can't always be sure who's doing what.
I mean, we know right now that there's, what do you call them, newspaper, the Breitbarts and the Daily Signals and callers, maybe not the Daily Signal, but you see the articles and they're sponsored. You just read them. You just know like somebody's paying for that. It's not like an independent journalist like you are or me trying to go out and find something. So they're paid for. That again, that's not illegal, or it's not even, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not even Weasley, as long as you put the disclaimer on the bottom. It's just part of the business now.
It's been around for a long time, and journalism news organizations have struggled for money for a long time. But I think the problems come when it is with AI. It's become sort of so all-encompassing that so much of the debate now in DC has this money pouring into it. And if ever I see anybody pushing for more regulation of AI, that just sets off alarm bells. And I'm thinking, is there Anthropic money here? Because they are the company that will benefit
Why?
from all of that.
Because they're the biggest?
Yeah, no, they are the ones who say AI could potentially pose an existential threat to humanity. We need to regulate. We need to have guardrails. And so anyone who is publicly pushing for more regulation, plenty of people come to that position themselves, but I'm always like, I wonder if there's.
Do you think it needs more regulation?
Yeah, but I'm not taking any money for it.
No, but your opinion.
It clearly is going to touch every aspect of our lives. Now, the White House position has been, America has to be the world leader in this. Therefore, we don't want any regulation. Remember the One Big Beautiful Bill had a clause which I think was ultimately taken out, that states couldn't impose any regulation on AI for 10 years. So that's their position. But I think you will hear voices now in the White House saying, actually, maybe that's a bit much. There have been so many examples now of people using AI to plan crimes, to take their own lives, that there has to be some sort of protections.
Guardrails.
Yeah. So I think that's a logical position to come from. But I think when you look at, say, Anthropic versus, say, Elon Musk's XAI, Anthropic is the one saying, this could be dangerous. We need to be careful. And that's where a lot of their lobbying money is going, to fund those voices. So if you see a new AI super PAC being set up and it's pushing for more regulation,
it's Anthropic.
I think there's a good chance.
Rob Curley, Washington. I'm way over my time. WashingtonExaminer.com/secrets. Can't read about your AI stuff. Rob, thank you.
Great to talk to you.
All right. Quick word from our sponsor. We're going to be right back with your calls. 888-480-JOB. John. Great segment. Thank you. We'll be right back.
Trump 2.0 is in full effect. How do you keep up with all the action? I'll tell you. TrumpNationNews.com is your inside source for the inside scoop. Manufacturing, jobs, deportations, and the nation's rejuvenation. The first 100 days and beyond. All the news you need and no liberal gibberish. It's the perfect way to start your day. Sign up for the TNN newsletter. Do it today. TrumpNationNews.com. TrumpNationNews.com. Part of the John Fredericks Media Network.
Hey folks, Al Green here for SatPhone. When you're on the go, you want to know you're connected. If it's a family vacation or an off-the-grid escape to a remote destination, having reliable communication helps you feel safe and secure. You can't afford to find yourself in a dead zone. That's why you need SatPhone. SatPhones are reliable, durable, and give you global coverage. If you can get outside, you can get in touch. It's that simple. Make calls from your SatPhone to any regular cell phone in the United States. The phones are $1,500 value, but you can get yours free. Just sign up for a 15-month plan, $94.95 a month. Get 150 minutes monthly that roll to the next month. Go 3 months without using them, that's fine. Yes, 3 months, 450 minutes, all yours. Visit SAT123.com or call 855-980-5830. SAT123.com, 855-980-5830. Get surety and security with your SatPhone. Call now.
The Bears are who we thought they were. And that's why we took the damn field. Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
He's the voice of Virginia.
No, you can't. You have one of the worst voices I've ever heard in my life.
And the commander of common sense.
Fire at will, Commander.
Now back to the John Fredericks Show.
You're back. Good to have you with us. I am John Fredericks. I am your Godzilla of the Truth in America, your Oracle of the Deplorables. Thanks for being with us. And it is Friday, TGIF. Just had an interesting AI discussion, which leads us into our next guest, which we'll be with here in just a moment as we get settled in from Rob. I got a text here from Lori in Columbus, Ohio, says, Dan quit with the music just when we had the good part. P.S. I don't like your music. So just so you know, Lori, thank you for the comment. We have changed our format because for what we're doing now, going on all the social media platforms, we cannot run anything that has copyrighted music without paying a large sum of money for it, which we're not going to do. And even if we did, we couldn't run on YouTube and Facebook and things like that live. So that's why we have changed. And so it's really not Dan's just, I mean, Dan just wrote his own music in order to get something that we could have that's not copyrighted. And I think it's fine. Dan, good job on that. So that's just a quick FYI as to why we're there. You're on the John Fredericks Media Network, and we are trucking the truth across America. We're going to get to policy director at the Alliance for a Secure AI, Ricky Parikh. Is that Parikh? Ricky, am I saying your name right? Bring Ricky in. Ricky, am I saying your name correctly?
Yeah, spot on.
Ricky Parikh. Okay. Just before we get to Ricky, just let me tell everybody that this segment is brought to you by our great friends at Colonial Downs. Don't forget their summer meet openings will be the longest ever in Virginia, in New Kent. It's going to be so much fun. I'm going to be there. Got the suite going on. Starts in the third week in June, goes all the way to September. Racing is going to be on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Post time, 12:30 p.m. The most beautiful racetrack in America, a turf course. It's gorgeous. Colonial Downs, don't want to miss it. Bring your family, bring your friends. We're going to be there. Got a suite going. I'm bringing my horse there from Churchill Downs. So it's going to be a lot of fun, especially when our horses race. So don't forget, check it out. You're going to have so much fun. Go to colonialdowns.com, colonialdowns.com. And Thursday, Friday, Saturday, go there for a couple days. Bring your family. Beautiful racetrack, get in the spirit of it. Great food. You're going to have so much fun. It is the most beautiful track in the country. And I've been to all of them. Just go to colonialdowns.com. That's colonialdowns.com, and you're good to go. Okay. Ricky Parikh, we just had a discussion here on AI. A lot of money floating around with their PACs. Anthropic, which is basically the one that I think their major AI platform is Claude.
Yep.
And they want regulations, but we've got now AI placing, as Rob Crilly was saying, placing journalists in companies. They're paying their salary, placing staff members in offices of Congress, paying their salaries, getting kind of pay to play stuff going on. Give us the breakdown here, Ricky. What is going on with AI?
I mean, AI is the future. It's going to sort of transform every aspect of our society. And there's money on both sides. I think I didn't hear Rob mentioned leading the Future PAC, which is the pro AI PAC, which is funded by Greg Brockman, who's the president of OpenAI, and David Sachs and all those the venture capitalists in Silicon Valley who want to sort of run uninhibited and build this technology as quickly as possible without any guardrails. So they have, $500 million in their bank account that they're using to spend to support candidates who are anti-regulation. And I think what Rob was mentioning was Anthropic and some other folks are trying to compete with that on the other side. So all to say, whenever there's money in politics, it means that there's a lot of interests at a lot of interested parties. But in this case, it's not sinister. It's not like crypto or oil or other sinister industries. This is something that will radically transform every aspect of our lives, from jobs to national security to healthcare to the way we buy goods, the way goods are produced. So it's transformative technology that requires us to think through how it's going to be integrated into our society.
So when you talk about changing all aspects of society, Ricky, and we'll talk about the guardrails in a moment, just define that, right? Define what you mean by that, because, we all think about, okay, jobs, right? It's going to make jobs go away.
Yeah.
Hasn't cost any jobs in my company. Nobody. In fact, because of AI, I actually hired somebody because of it. So it added a job. So far as our company is concerned, it's +1. But when you say transform society, give us some examples, not for big companies, not for, the C-suites at IBM or something, CEO is making $17 million. Average guy in the street that's got a laptop and a phone. How's it going to change a family's life?
Yeah, let's step back for a second. So what this is not like normal technology. I think every other technology, like electricity, the laptop, even the internet, has sort of unlocked human capability in a way that has been a tool for us to use. What the companies who are building this technology are building is really they're trying to recreate the brain, the human brain and the human mind in a computer, in a machine through what we call neural networks. That's what artificial intelligence is. So they are basically trying to build intelligence, which is a novel sort of feat, and that's why it's an innovation that has never existed before. So when this technology comes around, sure, on a day-to-day basis, you and me, if we use it as a tool for productivity, we can do things on our own that we've never been able to do. I use AI to sort of help me brainstorm, help me put documents together, help me sort of pressure test ideas. So on an individual basis, it can be very powerful and very useful if it's used as a tool to unlock human creativity and capability. I do think as we sort of expand it and as companies adopt this technology, it becomes very enticing to just invest in this product rather than invest in this person. It's cheaper, it's more efficient, it can lead to higher gains. And as that happens, it will start replacing a lot of these sort of knowledge worker jobs, lawyers, these white collar jobs that I think, people spend thousands of dollars going to fancy universities to get their fancy degrees. Those jobs will likely be replaced by technology that can do a lot of this thinking and writing and reasoning on its own. I do think, we'll see, the market sort of shift, and we'll see how where things play out, and maybe new jobs will be created like they have in past technologies. But I do think there will be a period of disruption where people will be out of work and we'll have to create those new jobs, and we'll have to figure out what skills are needed for those new jobs. And I think that period of uncertainty will be quite difficult as we weather through it. And so that's some of the things that I think we need to our policymakers need to be thinking about right now of what's going to happen if unemployment reaches 8-10% during this transition period as we figure out what jobs and what skills are needed for the jobs of the future.
What jobs are being replaced now?
Right now, it's a lot of software engineers because the Claude and ChatGPT is basically building itself and can code itself. I think soon we'll see a lot of entry-level legal work and accounting work. Basically things that require math and reasoning and sort of are just just things that a computer can do at quick levels can be done. I think it will require us, at a more senior level to sort of decide what can and cannot be replaced. But I think we're seeing a lot of entry-level white-collar jobs, the jobs that college graduates usually take, are easily replaced by AI. And just as we at the Alliance have created this website called jobloss.ai, where we're tracking the announcements these companies are making. They're laying people off and saying they're doing it because AI is replacing their jobs. And since January 2025, over 135,000 jobs have been lost already. So we're starting to see this. The companies that are building this technology have warned us that we might see job loss up to 50%. So it's something that we should start tracking now and start talking about of how we plan for that.
Tell us about your organization and what your position is on it.
Yeah, so the Alliance we're a bipartisan group based in DC that works with policymakers who are interested in building safeguards into this technology. We believe that AI has enormous potential, but there are significant risks, and we want to see this implemented safely and securely.
You want your PAC, your organization.
We're a nonprofit. Yep,
you're a nonprofit. You guys want guardrails.
Yeah, safeguards in place. I think to make sure that we can unlock the benefits of this technology so that it's useful to humanity, but it serves us, that it continues to be a tool and isn't a replacement. Right. A lot of people building this want it to be.
So a tool for us to increase productivity, not for job replacement. Exactly. And then what about, so would you be aligned with, what is it, Anthropic that runs Claude, which is also advocating for guardrails? Are you in alignment with them?
Yeah, so far, Anthropic has been advocating for guardrails, for safeguards. But look, we're not aligned with any company. We actually do not take any funding from any of the frontier labs, specifically because
if you're not getting funding from the AI companies, how are you getting your funding?
80%, close to 90% of the American people want guardrails. The Institute for Family Studies, which is a conservative group, just this week released a poll. 80% of Trump voters and 80% of Harris voters all say that the White House should do more to make sure that these models are safe and tested. So
why isn't why isn't the Trump administration seeing it that way?
It's a good question. I encourage you to ask your friends in the Trump administration about that. I think some are. I think in the last couple of weeks, we've seen a lot of internal discussion about how, after Anthropic released this very powerful model a couple of weeks ago called Mythos, which they deemed, and the government has deemed, a significant risk to cybersecurity and potential national security risk. Anthropic has done the responsible thing and not released that to the public, but the next company that comes around might not do that and might release it to the public for commercial benefit. And what we say, and what a lot of our advocate or our allies say, is that the government needs to come in and sort of put some rules in the road for when these powerful models are released, that we can make sure that they're safe and secure before
So
they're released.
explain this model again.
Yeah,
that raised your concern in layman's terms, so my audience, so it's just clear.
absolutely.
Like what would it have done?
So Anthropic built this new model that, when they tested it, was able to sort of on its own discover vulnerabilities in software that have gone unnoticed for 20 years. So this one piece of software had a hole in it, basically, that a hacker could exploit, that it was just laying dormant in that software for 20 years. On its own, this AI model was able to discover it, patch it up, and fix it. The danger is, if a foreign adversary or a bad actor had access to this AI, they could sort of go into all of our systems, hack into our bank accounts, hack into our national security apparatus, and sort of exploit code and hack into the system. Anthropic recognized how powerful this was and decided rightfully, that they would not release it to the public. They informed the government of what powerful technology they had, and they limited access to a group of companies to help them patch up their systems, basically, to use it for the public interest. That was the right choice, but that was all voluntary. There was no rules that required Anthropic to do that. But this is something that I think the White House has now been thinking, like, as more powerful models are released, other models will be released with a similar capability within the next 6 months.
And without
there needs to be rules.
without guardrails, some greedy company will sell it and not give a rat's ass who buys it.
Right. I think that is how, the competitive pressures are so intense, as we're seeing throughout the market. There's trillions of dollars invested in billions of dollars in revenue. So the competitive pressures are significant. So another company who is sort of, eager to increase their CapEx may release it. And I think having some rules in the road would be helpful to make sure that powerful models don't run out of control.
Ricky Parikh with us. Ricky is policy director, the Alliance for Secure AI. Ricky, vision this out, because a lot of us use AI for different things. We certainly do in our company. It's helped us be more efficient with simple things like what is the best, how do you maximize advertising, and listeners write a new clock for us, right? I mean, you could do things like that. We didn't do it. It was interesting. Sometimes I do the opposite of it. Like if you run it by a hockey game and say, do the analysis for this hockey game, Montreal, minus 125 tonight. What do you think? It's always wrong. I always bet the other team. I fade it. So those are some of the fun things with it. But vision this out 10 years from now. What does this look like? 5 years.
Yeah, I think 2 years. The models are, every 4 months, they're sort of growing in capabilities. So they're becoming smarter and smarter. And I think time is limited, to be honest. So 10 years will be sort of this future that is totally different than the present. Like I said, the models are becoming smarter and smarter. They're being able to complete tasks that humans are capable of completing in quicker timelines. So, on an individual level, we might be able to use this to create new things, create new products on our own, do some marketing. On a global level, I think it becomes very, potentially scary of how unclear of what is real and what is not, what has been AI generated versus what has been written or created by a human. There's, how, they can sort of do tasks at night while everyone is asleep and sort of in the background. So we could wake up one day and, banks are hacked into and your bank account is drained, or there's some sort of national security threat. The real fear, which is why we need guardrails, is these programs can do novel research on chemical weapons and biological weapons and really sort of create new breakthroughs on weaponry that humans just don't have the capacity or the time to do at this point. And because these machines have, the power to sort of work throughout the night and create new novel breakthroughs, there is a real cybersecurity and biological weapon risk that, the companies today have put some safeguards in place, but we really believe that there needs to be some sort of government oversight to make sure that it does not get out of control and that it doesn't get in the hands of our foreign adversaries who could use it against us.
So what if we have the guardrails and they don't?
Well, the good news is we are far ahead. America is leading the race on AI right now. We are, months ahead of the best Chinese model. So we have the ability to sort of put the rules in place and build this technology in a way that's safe for us, and then share that globally with the world. You raised I imagine you're talking about the Chinese who are chomping at the bit and trying to get access to this. This is why I think global cooperation is necessary. And it was great to see President Trump speaking to President Xi this week. He's back on the plane right now. It hasn't come out yet, the extent to which they talked about AI, but our hope is that he and the Chinese spoke about how we can have some global cooperation on this front to make sure that we don't, this is the next nuclear arms race. And so we need some sort of moment like President Reagan had with Gorbachev to sort of put a treaty in place, or you just have dialogue at the very least to make sure that we don't blow each other up with this powerful technology. And that's what's necessary. And that takes real leadership that, President Trump can provide, and to create a deal with the Chinese to say, look, we're going to use this for commercial purposes to, make our economy stronger and better. But we need to put some sort of agreement.
And you would believe the Chi-Coms if they actually agreed to that.
Look, we have to do everything that we did with the Soviets, right? They're the same type of partners.
Yeah, we bankrupted them. We bankrupted them, or they'd still be there. I mean, these people, they like to cut a deal with the Chi-Coms, and you say, okay, we're going to just use AI for productive, commercial, good for the planet purposes. I mean, the minute they can get an edge in weaponry, technology, chemical weapons, hack in, they're gonna take it. They're gonna lie and take it, just like they've been doing for the last 100 years.
Sure, and that's why we need to do everything in our power to limit their capabilities. And so, key among that is making sure they don't have access to our most advanced computer chips, which is why we need to, increase export controls on our most advanced chips to China. Because if they have access to our most advanced chips, they can beat us, within the next 4 months. So it's imperative, and many bipartisan members of Congress are pushing for this to make sure that we stop exports of our most advanced chips to the Chinese Communist Party.
In the short term, next year, AI, 2027.
Yeah.
What's our biggest risk? 1 year.
Our biggest risk, honestly, is these things become more capable. The incentives for companies to lay people off and just transfer their capital to AI models is very high. And I think the job loss risk is quite significant. And we'll see sort of in the fall of this year as voters go to the polls, I think the anxiety amongst the American people about what the future of their careers are, we've invested 20, 30 years in our careers that can just sort of be wiped out with, a couple of mouse clicks. I think that anxiety will be quite high. And so the next Congress and the president in January 2027 will have to deal with this issue of what are we doing about this massive disruption in our economy, and how do we transition to this future?
Ricky, very interesting, spot on. We're going to keep reaching out to us so we have you on, so we can keep following
Absolutely
this on an ongoing basis. Just reach out to Tina. We should have you on every other week for an update for AI. You're very knowledgeable, and I like where you're going with it. I'm 100% in favor of guardrails. I mean, for instance, people like Rob was saying, going on there to figure out how to commit a crime, or how to commit suicide, or how to harm somebody. I mean, all that stuff should be flagged immediately
and shut down. The conversation should end as soon as it gets to that point.
So that's why we need the restrictions and the guardrails. Ricky, thank you. People want to follow you. Where do they go? Quickly.
We are at secureainow.org, and then my handle is at Ricky Parikh on X.
Thanks, Ricky. Thanks for being with us. Virginia Gang next.
This is WJFN Goochland, Bonaire, Chester, and WJFB Portsmouth, part of the John Fredericks Media Network.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. U.S. support for Taiwan and China's claim on the self-governed island democracy proving a major sticking point in talks between President Trump and Chinese President Xi at their summit in Beijing. Mr. Trump aboard Air Force One, heading back home.
On Taiwan, he does not want to see a fight for independence because that would be a very strong confrontation. And I heard him out. Are you going to say your word? No, I didn't make a comment on it. I heard him out. I have a lot of respect for him.
Mr. Trump says he has not decided whether to allow a major American arms sale to Taiwan to go through. Overall, the president says he is pleased with the way the summit went.
We had a great stay. It was an amazing period of time. President Xi's an incredible guy. Got along, made a lot of great trade deals, including over 200 planes for Boeing with a promise of 750 planes.
Mr. Trump says China is also committed to buying American soybeans. President adds he's looking forward to welcoming his Chinese counterpart to Washington in the fall. The death toll in a Russian attack on a Kiev apartment building has reached 24.
Russia has attacked Ukraine with large-scale air attacks in the days following a ceasefire between May 9th and the 11th, which was something U.S. President Donald Trump had said he had asked Zelensky and Russian President Vladimir Putin to observe.
Correspondent Samia Kulab. New U.S. House districts in Florida are facing their first test in court. The state judge is set to hear arguments on a request to block the new Republican-friendly districts from being used in the upcoming midterm elections. Ahead of this morning's opening bell on Wall Street, the Dow futures are down 460 points. NASDAQ futures off 503 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Maybe this is you too. There's enormous frustration right now with healthcare costs. It is amazing. Healthcare costs for families in the last 20 years have almost tripled, and it just keeps getting worse. All this to say, this is why MediShare is so in demand right now. People are looking for alternatives, and MediShare is proven you can save thousands of dollars a year and actually like it more. Over 1 million Americans are now part of healthcare sharing, and MediShare is the gold standard. It's trusted, it works, it's been helping people save money and have peace of mind now for 30 plus years. It's not some big impersonal thing either. It's a community of people like you helping each other. So yeah, if you're frustrated too, here's your chance to make a refreshing change. You'll notice the difference as soon as you call. They're easy to talk to. You can get a price within 2 minutes. Here is the number. Call 844-41-BIBLE. That's 844-41-BIBLE. 844-41-BIBLE.
A series of commemorative stamps honors the Republic's milestone birthday.
The U.S. Postal Service has released special edition stamps featuring the bald eagle for America's 250th birthday. The stamps depict the eagle across 5 life stages, from hatchling to adult. They're available for immediate purchase. The eagle has long symbolized American values like strength, freedom, and independence, but it's also considered a major conservation success story. In the mid-1900s, eagles nearly vanished due to pesticide poisoning. A 1972 ban on the chemical helped their recovery. I'm Mike Hempel.
Cuban and American officials say CIA Director John Ratcliffe has met with high-level Cuban officials, including Raul Castro's grandson, during a visit to the island. Ratcliffe discussed intelligence cooperation, economic stability, and security issues. News and analysis at townhall.com. A sacred piece of 9/11 steel is making its way across the country ahead of the 25th anniversary of the September 11th terrorist attack at the World Trade Center in New York City. The tour is sponsored by the nonprofit organization Tunnel to Towers. Correspondent Laura Winters reports from one of the first of 35 stops across the country.
A moving ceremony here in Atlanta as the 16,000-pound steel beam recovered from the South Tower of the World Trade Center arrives on a truck. Dan DeLeon with Tunnel to Towers says this beam symbolizes lives lost in the terrorist attack and the resilience of our country.
It's considered sacred because the bodies were never recovered, so it's literally a graveyard. It's important to the foundation, and it's very moving to see it and to be able to be a part of it.
Laura Winters, Atlanta.
More on these stories at townhall.com.
Bad decisions limit future options. Make enough bad decisions and you will destroy your life. Listen to The Flatline with your host, Rick Hughes, every Sunday morning on the John Fredericks Radio Network. The Flatline describes a main line of resistance in your soul, built on God's Word. Join us every Sunday morning for 30 minutes of inspiration, motivation, and education, all without manipulation. That's The Flatline with Rick Hughes, heard here every Sunday at 8:30 a.m. on the John Fredericks Radio Network.
President Trump is already transforming Washington, D.C., making it the safest, cleanest, and most beautiful city in the world. But we need fighters on the ground to keep it going. I'm John Fredericks, and I'm running for chairman of D.C. GOP Ward 2 to make sure Trump's vision for this city becomes a reality. Safe streets, clean neighborhoods, and yes, rat-free. Go to MakeDCGreat.com. That's MakeDCGreat.com right now and send a donation. Let's finish what President Trump started. Donation limit $200. I'm John Fredericks, and I paid for this ad.
It's finally here, our second annual mega sale. This sale only comes around once a year, so take advantage of the best offers ever while you can. For example, save 50% on our Giza Dream bed sheets, as low as $29.98. And for the first time ever on TV, MyPillow mattresses and MyPillow mattress toppers as low as $99.98. And you save 50% on our Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets. Regular $69.98, now only $39.98. And our best-selling standard MyPillows, regular $49.98, on sale for $17.98. Wait on it, mega sale, only $14.98. But wait, there's more. To make the mega sale even more special, when you order right now, your order's going to ship absolutely free.
To take advantage of the second annual mega sale, go to MyPillow.com or call 800-854-0504 and use promo code Godzilla. What if those who were once called conspiracy theorists turn out to be right again? A new study by Korean doctors claimed that COVID vaccines raise the risk of 6 cancers, including lung, breast, and prostate. Researchers analyzed health records from more than 8.4 million adults between 2021 and 2023, and their findings were published in Biomarker Research, a respected scientific journal. Critics dismiss it, but the data raises concern that spike protein exposure may be tied to long-term health risks. And Dr. Peter McCullough has been aware of this since 2020, which is why he collaborated with the wellness company to create Ultimate Spike Detox, designed to help your body clear spike proteins, reduce inflammation, and support heart health. With natural ingredients like nattokinase, dandelion root, and bromelain, it is your daily proactive defense from a man-made virus. Don't wait until symptoms strike or something unexpected happens. Experience the only formula approved and used by Dr. McCullough, one of the top doctors who risked it all. Go to twc.health/Godzilla. That's twc.health/Godzilla and use promo code Godzilla to get 10% off plus free shipping.
Now more than ever, it's imperative to support companies that share our conservative values. That's why I can't be more excited to tell you that I've switched my family to Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you shift your support away from the leftist, woke, progressive agendas of Big Mobile. Patriot Mobile's wireless service works perfectly and seamlessly as you go about your lives with exceptional nationwide coverage that uses the same towers the main carriers use. Patriot Mobile donates a portion of every dollar earned to causes you care about, to organizations that fight for religious freedom, First and Second Amendments, sanctity of life, and the needs of veterans and first responders. Patriot Mobile has plans to fit any budget, along with great discounts for our veterans and first responder heroes, as well as multi-line users. Switching is easy. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Godzilla or call their U.S.-based customer service team, 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-728-7468. Use offer code Godzilla for free activation.
John Fredericks.
It is the most egregious thing I've seen in a lifetime.
President Trump.
The whole thing is ridiculous.
When politics start getting wild,
They want to have every single thing that you don't want. Raise taxes, men and women's sports. They're going to open up their border.
Trump hits the speed dial.
Thank you for calling in on such short notice.
You came first, John.
Wake up with the John Fredericks Show weekday morning, 6 Eastern, 5 Central on JFMN.TV, the massive J-Fred radio network, and all across the socials.
You came first, John. Thank you very much, and you do a great job.
Don't touch that dial. You found your home of the truth.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
With the best analysis in America.
You can't handle the truth.
And now back to the John Fredericks Show.
You got him, John Fredericks. It is time for the Virginia Gang, and it is great to have you with us. We got a full house today. We got a lot going on. TGIF. Mercifully, the end of the Maryland Terrapins baseball season is Saturday. I'm going to the last two games. It's been really bad. But we got a very good young team. We're going to be back next year. Joe's going to be back better, bigger, faster, stronger than ever after he gets through his 6-month rehab there with his severe sprain. And so it's all good. Looking forward to next year. Meantime, WVU baseball is going to Omaha. You heard it here first. John Fredericks Media Network. Virginia Gang coming up. This segment brought to you by Safer Supervision. Go to safersupervision.com for more information. It is time to reform our supervision, our parole supervision federally in the United States. It's crazy the way it is now. We have people that are let out of prison that we don't want recidivism. We want them to do the right things, get a job, stay drug and alcohol free, stay out of trouble, go back with their families, be productive. That's what you want. And so if you're being supervised and you're doing all the right things, it is a waste of resources. It's also detrimental to the person who's trying to keep his job, because if you're under supervision, they can call you in on an hour's notice. You got to leave your job, leave your place of work, leave your assignment. And it doesn't make sense if you're doing all the right things. Plus, parole officers, now called supervisors, parole officers, well, they're overwhelmed. They're overworked. And it doesn't make sense to have them spend time on somebody that's doing all the right things. So what the Safer Supervision Act does, which is now making its way through Congress very effectively, is it gives a parole officer the opportunity to go to the judge and say, this person I'm supervising is perfect. They're doing all the right things. They no longer need to be supervised. And then the judge gets the analysis, and then the judge's second pair of eyes, they make this decision. It says, no, I think we still got some issues here. Let's give them another year, 6 months. Or the judge says, you know what, you're right. Let's release them of it immediately. Go spend your time on those that are struggling, that need your help and need your supervision, so they stay out of trouble and get on the right path. This is why this makes sense. This is just a common sense act. And it's the extension of President Trump's First Step Act. 90% of MAGA voters support Safer Supervision. Go to safersupervision.com for more information. Safersupervision.com, paid for by the Reform Action Fund. Thank you. Joining me now is the Virginia Gang. We've got Senator Reeves. We've got Jim Hopgood. We've got John Reed. We've got Joe Morrissey. The gang's all here. Here's where we're going to start. We're going to start with allowing, is Morrissey in here? Yes. Okay. We're going to start with Joe, and we're going to allow Joe Morrissey, former senator, Virginia, a unabashed, loving victory lap for having called the Virginia Supreme Court decision for months on this show, where we had the doubting Thomases all over the place. Joe called it, and he said there is no way this is going to pass this Supreme Court in Virginia. He nailed it. He was right. I told that to the White House. They kept saying, I don't know what's going, tell me what's going on. I'm like, all I got to tell you is my lawyer, Joe Morrissey, who's been there forever, says it's appointed all these people, says it's going down. And Joe, you need to take your victory lap. You called it.
Thank you. And good morning to fellow gang members. Yes, I have my tennis shoes on today, John, ready to make that lap, take that lap. 4 months ago, John, you and I talked about this both off the air and on the air, and we talked about what could possibly happen. And I said at that time that this matter will go to the Supreme Court, and the Virginia Supreme Court will reverse it. The only thing I was surprised by, that it was not a 7-0 ruling. But with that said, it's pretty clear the following. People said when the Virginia Supreme Court allowed the referendum to go forward, a lot of folks, including Republicans, threw up their hands and said, the game's over. Why let it go forward if they already know it's bad? And I said then on the air, this is why. Courts are very hesitant to stop an election from going forward, no matter how egregious the underlying circumstances. They don't want to do that. Courts do not want to get involved in political questions. So at the time, when I saw that the Supreme Court of Virginia allowed the election to go forward, didn't change my opinion at all, that they would reverse it. And they reversed it because they had to. Number one, everybody realized that the election had already started when the referendum was passed. 1.3 million voters had already voted, and the Virginia Constitution says, you want to have an amendment, okay, it has to be two different General Assembly sessions with an intervening election. An intervening election includes those people that voted early. It's that simple. And they did the right thing, the only thing that they could do. And I read, I'm not sure if you all are familiar with the Jefferson Forum, but I want to give a shout out to them. They said it very clearly, better than I could, that the Constitution of Virginia is not a political obstacle course that can be bypassed when one party gets a temporary number advantage. They went on to say that constitutional procedures matter, and they do. And you don't just circumvent a constitution, which is like the Magna Carta, because you want to correct some perceived inequity in another state. That's simple, not surprised at all, and now they'll go back to the same seats that they had. Bye-bye, Shannon.
Oh, well, now they took it to the Supreme Court, asking for an emergency ruling. Bryce, anybody can jump in here. What does the federal Supreme Court have to do with the Virginia Supreme Court ruling?
It has absolutely nothing to do, but we want to encourage the Democrats to spend millions of dollars on this effort to the Supreme Court. As much, Hakeem Jeffries, if you're listening, please spend millions of dollars in this fight against the Supreme Court to take it up there. We want you to spend as much money as you can, because it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Joe knows this. He served with my colleagues that are the ones that are litigating this case, Senator McDougal and Senator Stanley. They're some of the finest lawyers I know. Joe serves with them. He knows these guys. They're not going to lose this case to the Supremes of the federal government either. It's done. It's a state constitution. The Supreme Court of our state ruled on it. It was a matter of law. And let me say this about Joe calling it too. Joe and I both voted for the Chief Justice Kelsey. And I remember in his interview hearings, and Joe, you can back me up on this, we asked him some pretty pointy questions because we didn't want political, whatever you want to call it, judges on the bench. And Kelsey told us he's going to rule on a matter of law. He took his oath seriously. And we all know he's left-leaning when Warner put him on the appellate court. So Joe called it right. He spent enough time in the courtrooms to know the nature of these jurists. I'm sure as he comes up for re-election, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure he gets reappointed, because those are the kind of judges we want, regardless of their party affiliation. When it comes to the matter of the rule of law, they rule accordingly. If he would have come down and said, based on the certain facts, that that it wasn't that 45 days of early voting and all these other things where it's clearly defined as Joe articulated, then that would be the ruling, and I could live with that. And so I think they did the right thing. I think we got a stay of execution, so to speak. And I think Virginians now are overwhelmingly fired up with all the things that have been going on. And I think the midterms look a lot better for Republicans than they ever have before now.
Chris Saxman, are you back in the States or are you still in Europe? Okay, Chris Saxman back in the States safely. Michelle, good. Everything go well? Everything good?
It was fantastic trip. Could not have asked for a better week with all of our 4 children and their plus ones. Great trip. Thanks for asking.
All right. Well, we're happy to have you back. We missed you last week. I missed you for 2 weeks on Godzilla. Are you back on Godzilla Wins tomorrow?
Yeah, God willing.
Good. Okay, good. It's been because I got to host it tomorrow, and I don't like doing it without you. So thanks for showing up.
Yeah, I'll carry you tomorrow.
You got to carry my sorry butt on Saturday. No question about it. The last time I hosted without you there, I'm like, the hell Saxman, man. So anyway, it's good to have you back. Sorry, guys, for that. It's just a John Saxman thing. So Saxman, if they did nothing, well, first of all, fair vote, Brian Cannon, like, you know what, pat him on the back. He was in this fight. He was behind this fair votes at the beginning. These were the maps these judges drew. Without Brian Cannon and fair vote, this never would have happened. So big shout out to Brian. All of us know him. He's a great guy, visionary, did the right thing. But if the Democrats did nothing, they were going to probably win the 2nd district. Now we poked the bear. I think Higgins is going to win. Whitman's. I don't think they're going to win anything, Chris.
Yeah, I think it was and I wrote early on, this was a bad strategic move by the Democrats. And I thought all along, because Abigail Spanberger won Virginia 8-3 congressional districts in 2025, less than a year ago, that there was really no reason to do this, because you can win with the current maps that you have, win fairly. Why harm your brand? And I got to be honest, I was in a cooking class in Rome when I got the news that the Supreme Court had overturned the court case or overturned the redistricting, gerrymandering. And to your point about Brian Cannon, yeah, that's what pays off when you're principled, right? When you stick to your beliefs and you let it ride and you trust the will of the voters. And I think the Democrats have really hurt their brand here in Virginia, which for the last quarter of a century has been a very strong brand electorally, at least in Virginia, winning the suburbs, dominating the suburbs. And they're really in a very difficult place right now. Over the last week and a half has been a disaster for their brand, in my estimation.
Reed, weigh in. Do you think John Reed with us, former candidate, lieutenant governor, former host, WRVA. By the way, your morning show, the guy that replaced you over there, Reed, tanking, right? The guy, I think got suspended or something, saying like crazy stuff on the air. Like, what is up with this guy?
Well, look, that's a whole nother topic, and I think they're playing it wrong because the poor guy. I mean, he said something that's controversial, and now every Democrat in America is beating up on him. I tell you, if I was in that seat, I would be in their face calling them out for being the hypocritical racial bigots that Democrats are. And unfortunately, he has a company and people around him who are saying, oh, God, grovel, suck your thumb in the corner and act like you're all embarrassed. Don't do that. Never do that. Never apologize to these bastards. They are playing the race card.
Unless you're wrong.
And he
wasn't.
I don't think look, I'm from the South, so maybe I have a weird perspective on this. What he said seems pretty benign to me. When I live in a society where I hear the N-word every other day from white people and black people in music and entertainment. So, I have pretty high personal standards for how I deal with people, but they're catering to the leftist wackos in the society, and I don't know why anybody would do that at this point. They're crass. But back to the original point, I do think that Republicans are fired up. We took a 15-point loss in the governor's race last year in November, and we closed that gap still with a pretty big voter turnout. It wasn't like everybody stayed home during the referendum in April, and closed it to 3 points. Still not a victory, but closed it to 3 points. And then to hold your breath and hope that enough responsible jurists on the Supreme Court would call out the obvious law breaking here and win. I think, we'll see. It's still a long way till November, but I think Republicans are motivated, and I'm hoping that there are enough leftists who are humiliated by this situation that it's going to have a positive impact on what we're doing in November. Mark Warner, who is trying to keep his U.S. Senate seat, does not seem up for the job. I mean, he's got $1 billion, so he can write a check and make himself look good if he wants to. But I don't think that guy is ready for the campaign ahead. It's going to be abbreviated for him, which will help him. But if we get a really aggressive, smart candidate running for U.S. Senate, and a couple of things break in our favor, I think we might see some surprises. That's what I'm going to work for.
Well, Jim Hopgood, I'll get to the Warner thing in a minute, but you were on the radio a long time doing basketball games and other athletic events, so you kind of know the game like John Reed and I do. I don't take the same position as Reed. I think as a radio host, you've got to have some brain cells going on that you're interviewing somebody in the South, and you're talking about the African American minority leader trying to become speaker. You know how high the stakes are, and you use a metaphor that you know is going to get you nailed. I mean, you just know it. So, I mean, you got to have some sense about what you're doing on the air, especially when it's a so-called friendly, a friendly interview, so to speak. And I don't blame Kiggins. I mean, she's there on the phone. That's the other thing of being on the phone. You get comfortable. It's not like being on video like you guys are now. You're on the phone. You get comfortable, Jim, and you say crazy stuff. Just ask Huggy Bear in West Virginia. When he was interviewed, he said some outrageous things that, led to him getting fired, along with, DWIs on the side of the highway in the middle of the night. But Jim, I mean, don't you have to have some sense of what's going on when you're on the air?
You always have to have the filter, is what I called it. When you see that microphone in front of you, sometimes you can get really comfortable and you think you're just having a casual conversation with a friend over lunch, and you got to make sure that there's a difference when that microphone's in front of you, and you really do have to be careful. It's a big mistake. I don't know if he'll survive or not. Maybe he will. But that's one of those things, I just a quick story. We were doing a game at Wake Forest one time when I was doing the radio for Virginia. And I didn't realize once the feed went up on the Bird, anybody that tuned in early could hear. And in candor, the engineer and I were making commentary on the Wake Forest cheerleaders, which was probably not a good thing to do. But so that I learned that lesson in the board op back at WRVA in Richmond said, if anybody's linked into the satellite already, they can hear what you're saying. So that taught me my lesson early on, that if you're anywhere near a microphone, make sure you're really careful relative to what you're saying.
I guess I should make this statement, but who would ever think you'd be making comments about the Wake Forest cheerleaders of any school in the ACC? It just doesn't fit. It doesn't fit the mantra.
And I'm detecting, by the way, that you're a West Virginia and Maryland fan here.
Yeah, well, yes, we have a big network in West Virginia where they're broadcast flagship. They're going to Omaha. I have no doubt about it. The baseball team. They're going to the tournament this weekend. We're sending out our beat writer there to, I think, surprise Arizona. But Maryland baseball, we got 2 more games against Penn State. The season coming to a merciful end. My son's not been part of it because he got hurt in the second game. He was out for the season, took a red shirt, but it's been tough. But look, we got a good young team, and 27 is going to be different.
Hey, John, let me weigh in about the comment. First of all, I think, Jim, I already held you at an elevated stature, but now that I hear that you were commenting about the Wake Forest cheerleaders, if I had heard it, that would have made me tune in more often and longer to you had I been aware of that. So kudos to you for that. With regard to Rich Herrera's comment, he did not. Jim is right. The filter was off. John Fredericks is right. He should not have said it. For the listening audience, what
You don't think it was kind of a benign phrase?
Well, I'm getting to
you don't
that
think
now.
that's okay?
Yeah, let me address that right now. For the listening
Hey,
audience,
wait a minute. For the new, hold on. For the new listeners, we haven't defined what he said.
I'm just about to do that.
Yeah.
So Rich Herrera is a local morning talk show host for a competitor in the Richmond market, and he was talking about Hakeem Jeffries, the minority leader in the House of Delegates, an African-American, meddling in the Virginia redistricting matter. And he said on the air about Hakeem Jeffries, keep your cotton-picking hands out of Virginia. Now, cotton picking, of course, has a very, very negative connotation. And the point is whether John Reed, of course, cotton picking? Yeah. Now, here's the thing.
I mean, I think it's kind of like varmint. I don't know.
I was thinking about this when it happened.
Okay.
When we were little kids, I heard little kids all the time, you steal your brother's toy or truck or this. Keep your cotton picking hands off my stuff. Okay? Right. However, that's kids. They don't have any concept of what they're saying. A talk show host should be mindful, and that's what Fredericks is saying, should be mindful. And what Hobgood says, have that filter on and know that even if you do not mean anything racial about it, you don't say something like that. Okay, so I hope I've made that point, and I think.
Well, can I just say one thing about that?
Of course.
Real quick. The reason this is such a scam is that the Democrats use anything they can possibly relate to slavery or racism and then blow it up in your face. They did it to their own First Lady of Virginia, Ralph Northam's poor wife, Mr. Blackface Governor. That poor lady was given a tour of the governor's mansion when she was First Lady, and she said, oh, look, kids, we have a little bowl of cotton here. Would you like to hold it? Can you imagine what it must be like to work and have to get a whole bucket of these things just for one shirt? And they beat the hell out of her just for saying something innocent like that. And when I heard it, I was on the radio in this guy's job at the time. I was the old host of that show. And I said, why are you beating up on your own First Lady for an innocuous comment, which is a legitimate thing to point out to these kids? They are brutal to their own people. And I think it's really...
Because they can.
I mean,
That's
there
why
are
they
some
do it.
words like the N-word and other things that you can't say and you shouldn't say. But this is just so stupid, I think.
Well, I think it's an outdated phrase that
Anyway,
I haven't probably heard the phrase in like 20 years, frankly, unless I'm watching maybe
I know, that's true.
Foghorn Leghorn on Bugs Bunny, which is not like, the hell, but it's such a, I don't know, but in today's politics, it's a very useful distraction for the Democrats to pile on to change the conversation direction, because they have been losing badly, especially here in Virginia, on a number of fronts, and they had to change the conversation, and this was a successful pivot for them.
Yeah. Let's also go back to something that Bryce said earlier. The Democrats made a huge mistake by trying to be overhanded in what they did and change the map. Huge mistake. You don't do that. And it is going to backfire on them. There's going to be a new joke circulating. Question, what's the quickest way to burn $70 million? Oh, I don't know. How about try to override a Virginia constitutional mandate? But with that said, they are going to pay the price for what they did. You don't suspend the Constitution because of some intervening factor. We did it in World War II. We interned Japanese Americans. We got rid of or suspended habeas corpus, and because it was a dire circumstance. No, that's when you double down and you make sure that you adhere to the tenets of the framers and the Constitution. And that's the U.S. Constitution. In Virginia, it's a sacred document, the state constitution, and the Democrats said this, we can just suspend it temporarily because of what they did in Texas.
Yeah.
What garbage. And it's going to backfire on them. And let me tell you, the people that are infuriated, Southwest Virginians, have some friends down there.
Yeah.
I mean, trying to impose on them their values of liberal Democrats in Arlington County, a district that they tried to gerrymander and stretch all the way down to Southwest Virginia. Right. They deserve everything they're going to get in the upcoming midterms because they tried to be overhanded and they brought it upon themselves. Shame on you, Democrats.
And
that's coming for somebody that served on that caucus.
Just a quick question for you gentlemen. I consider you the experts. Will they try to do it again in advance of the 28 elections?
Yeah, it's going to fail, Reeves. I don't think. First of all, they're going to have to win. They're going to have to keep the House, right? They're going to have to keep the House and the Senate. Not sure if they're going to keep the Senate, but I think if it comes up for another referendum, Senator, I think this time we start earlier, get more money, and beat it.
Well, we have 3 more referendums in November, if you guys remember that. We've got 3 other ones that they didn't want to put on that ballot at the same time. So you're going to see a lot of more money coming in on those 3 referendums coming up. But Virginians are wiser now. So, and we already have an established kind of defensive program on these things, and people are still fired up. We're still raising money. I think Democrats overall are just losing. Yesterday, I did a TV hit on OAN with Dan Ball, and he played a little 30-second thing about the governor's comments about illegal aliens, and this was all brought up about this prosecutor from Northern Fairfax or Fairfax County being brought up to testify to Congress, and she basically said what we would all say is that they need to enforce the immigration laws, and if they're here illegally, then they should be gone. And I mean, literally counter to exactly what she did in the first 2 hours of her getting the thing. In my comment, and I'll stick by my comment, like John Reed, I said to Dan Ball, I said, did you happen to notice that her nose was growing longer when she was saying that? Because she's nothing but a liar. Until she can be trusted, she says one thing and does another. So that's proof of the pudding that she can't be trusted. So, I call her Pinocchio in and out all day long because I want her to have narcissistic injury and come after me because somebody's got to hold her accountable because her own party's not even holding her accountable.
All right, let's bring in my good friend.
John, if I can, just before you do,
go ahead, Sachs.
I think your audience needs to understand the really long game here that Democrats are very concerned about, and that is reapportionment in the states of the congressional seats. With the amount, because congressional representation is not based on voters, it's based on residents. Okay, and with the amount of residents no longer in California because the borders are being closed, because you can't count California's population the way they used to, they're going to start losing congressional seats. And this is what this thing is really all about. It's the long-term play in apportionment for the next round of redistricting after 2030. It's going to be absolutely brutal for Democrats to try to regain a majority in the House of Representatives if they don't do it this year or next. Notwithstanding the fact gerrymandering is still wrong, no matter where you do it, no matter how you do it.
And to echo Saxman, the biggest Supreme Court decision that's come down in decades involving reapportionment, it just happened. Louisiana versus Calis. Now, let me tell you, we are not talking about that, but did you read what the Supreme Court said? That they said that the legislatures can't take race into account in drawing distant lines, nor may a federal court tell them to do so in order to rectify past discrimination. Folks, this is what's going to happen. The legislatures now, the Democrats in the respective legislatures are going to cannibalize each other. I've seen it. I was in the House of Delegates. They will eat each other for lunch because the African Americans will say, we want these 7 seats. The other Democrats are going to say, no, we drew that black seat because the Supreme Court said we had to. We no longer have to. And they're going to, I read a statistic, they may lose 25 African American seats in Congress because of Louisiana versus Calis. That's the big obstacle. The Virginia case is going to be a blip on the radar screen
Yeah.
when people start to realize what's happening with Kalis.
No more minority majority districts. Can you believe that? They're gone.
And then couple it with the deportations.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Well,
That's-
and just
it's
just
a
look
math
at
game.
26.
And then couple it with the deportations that need to happen.
Democrats have been relying on this as the method of their electoral success. They've been browbeating conservatives for racial reasons for decades. And now that Donald Trump has re-engineered the math for Republican victories by getting more Hispanic and black votes, it terrifies them because that's their method of success in getting the majorities. Democrats have to get back on the field of having successful policies.
Oh, they don't have that.
And right now they are in a world of hurt long term unless they change their direction on a policy level. And that's why I think with the conflict, the cannibalization that Joe was speaking of is very real, because where else are you going to go? They have to get back on the policy game and be more competitive with successful policies at the state and local level, because people are getting sick and tired of it, and the suburbs will turn quickly.
No one trusts them. No one trusts them, Chris. No one. Joe, you were in that caucus. Louise Lucas is under huge fire right now. Like, the FBI just doesn't show up and raid your businesses because on a whim. Their whole caucus is in fracas. Like,
Bryce,
breaking news.
that was a
Breaking news
judicial
on this
warrant.
station.
Yeah.
Breaking news. I'm going to share this with John Fredericks and the gang members. I sat with Bryce in the state Senate when Louise Lucas voted on marijuana distribution legislation. Am I correct?
You are correct. Yes, sir.
I leaned over to my seatmate, Democrat Barbara Comstock, and said, wait a second. Doesn't she own a cannabis shop? And folks, when you're in the legislature, you cannot vote on legislation that directly affects your pocketbook. Okay? And I was aghast that she's there advocating and voting on legislation dealing with distribution of marijuana when she owns a marijuana shop. And it's just my opinion out there, but it's my opinion. She's a grifter.
Well, regardless of whatever you want to say about that, it's not illegal, but it's against the Senate rules. And it was against the House rules to do the very same thing, to vote on bills that affect you personally. Like if a bottled water bill came up, I would have had to have recused myself. William Fralin used to do it all the time when it came to Medicaid, because he ran his business was nursing homes. You just can't touch those bills. And it changed the math when you're voting for these things on the floor. So it was just, I was kind of astounded by some of the votes that were
got no volume, Ben.
I do it all the time on insurance stuff because I'm a State Farm agent. So even when they were raising minimum liability limits, that downward flow of money means I'm getting a pay increase if it affects my clients. So I would just R36 out of caution.
Yeah,
right.
But she was not only voting for it, Joe, she was openly advocating for it. And if I remember, she signed on as the chief co-patron or a co-patron on the
It was
bill.
shameful.
Yeah.
Bryce is right, folks. Listen, if there's legislation that comes up that can affect you personally, you R36 it. You simply decline to vote. Bryce did it when it involved insurance issues. Jennifer McClellan, when we were in the House of Delegates, whenever a vote came up with Dominion, she would not vote because she was an employee of Dominion.
Right.
Kenny Alexander was a mortician. When bills came up involving the mortuary business, he declined to vote. But what happened with marijuana? What happened to marijuana? She's in there advocating for it, pushing for it, and it's putting more money in her pocketbook because she's got a cannabis distribution shop.
She was strong-arming people.
And it is shameful.
Well, whenever that comes up, regardless of the person, these things should be reported widely in the press, because it is against the Senate rules or the House rules when you are voting on legislation that affects you personally. And I'm surprised that nothing ever came about of it. There's like
why, Chris?
Oh, probably.
You know why they didn't cover it?
I think we all know.
Because every time somebody says something about Louise Lucas, she sues them for $20 million.
Oh, let her sue
me.
me.
I have friends here in Richmond. I was a TV reporter here for a long time. They are scared to death to cover Louise Lucas. They're scared to even utter her name on air. Really? And the companies, the newsrooms have said, let's pass on covering Louise Lucas because we don't need a lawsuit. It's really cunning what she's done. After
Well,
that
let me tell you
statue
what I
fell on the
did.
guy and
Wait,
smashed
hold
his
on.
head.
Let me do a quick poll. Out of 6 of us here, is anybody surprised that this happened?
No.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly. What does that say? We all have different areas of the political that we cover, and nobody's surprised. And everybody in my colleagues aren't surprised either. The chickens finally come home to roost. But that's, Joe, you sat in that caucus. You know what's going on over there. They're in total disarray. Total.
Oh,
That's why we don't have a budget, guys.
They are. Before we leave Miss Louise Lucas, when I sat in that legislature with Bryce and saw her voting on it, I had two choices. Just lean over and say, why is she doing this, or do something. Every one of you guys know me. I did something. I wrote a letter to Senate Ethics Committee, and I laid out the facts.
I remember that.
I laid out the facts. I kept it to myself. I sent it to them and said, is this proper or is this legal? You guys handle it. I just didn't pontificate or throw a flaming dart. I think what Louise Lucas did in the legislature by voting on it was disgraceful. I think it violated the Senate rules, and I stand by that. And my address is John Fredericks Radio, 701 German School Road. Go ahead and sue me, Lucas. Be happy to stand up in court and talk about this.
All right. Well, so much for Louise Lucas, and I guess Ben Tribbett. I haven't heard from him much. My good friend Ben, although he did invite Ann and I to a Washington Nationals game where he had the suite. We couldn't make it, but Ben's got his hands full. Let's just say that. All right, I'm going to get to cut 25 here. This is Jason Miyares, former Attorney General of Virginia, got beat by 2 bullets, whatever his name is. Slams the Dems over Virginia's immigration policies, and he said this is a deliberate choice to put violent criminals back on the street. You can't make this stuff up, folks. Virginia is such a mess. 25, roll it.
Immigration is not a shared power with states. It belongs exclusively to the federal government. And federal law expressly prohibits state and local governments from restricting communication with federal immigration authorities. Fairfax County's policies do exactly that. This is not non-cooperation. This is a deliberate choice to put a violent criminal back on the street.
Okay, and then let's get to Dan. Get to 26 also, where he calls Fairfax District Attorney Steve Descano a social worker. I mean, this is classic.
Sitting right next to him.
Go ahead. This is hilarious.
So critics say that he implemented policies in his office that were more favorable to people who were in this country illegally than those who were citizens of the country or were permanent residents of this country or here legally in some other way. For years, up until weeks before this hearing, his website said the following: wherever possible, Steve will make charging and plea decisions that limit or avoid immigration consequences. If 2 people commit the same crime, but only one's punishment includes deportation, that's a perversion of justice and not a reflection of the values of Fairfax County. He's walking away from that now. What do you say?
I think it was one of the more shocking moments of the hearing that he essentially said, don't follow what I say as a candidate. I've always been a big believer, let your yes be yes and your no be no. Descano obviously operates at a different set of standards, but I also think it's pretty sad that it was a congressional subpoena that hauled him in front of a committee that finally forced him to apologize to Cheryl Minter for the policies of what happened to her daughter. And, there's no cry like the cry of a mother that has lost a child. It's even worse when you realize the person that harmed your child should have never been in the country to begin with. And but for Steve Descano's failed policies, her daughter would be alive today. It was a stunning moment. We admitted he basically lied as a candidate, but even more stunning to see the overwhelming evidence to show what he has done. He views himself as a social worker, not a prosecutor, and Virginians are paying the price.
So, folks, for the gang members, let's just dial down a little bit so we understand what happened. Abdul Jalal Jalloh, was an illegal immigrant from Sierra Leone, and he was charged with second-degree murder, the brutal murder of Stephanie Minter. And as a result of Toscano's policies, over half of the charges against him were dismissed. That's why he was hauled up before Congress. I just wanted to put things in context.
John Reed, what do you make of this whole thing? Reed, you there? We're not getting Reed's audio.
I'm so glad that. I'm so glad that. Oh, is there a
Go ahead.
problem? I'm so glad that Republicans in the House got this guy in front of the Congress. I'm glad that they were smart enough to pair him with our former Attorney General, Jason Miyares, who was always willing to speak out against this kind of passive prosecution where Democrats, for some reason, seem to let the bad guys out in a revolving door situation. Toscano is destroying the peace and safety of normal law-abiding citizens in Northern Virginia, and the Democrats refuse to recalibrate here. This mindset is happening in prosecutors' offices all around the United States, but all across Virginia, where you don't actually want to go after somebody, even when they demonstrate that they're a violent threat to society. And this is a winning issue and an important issue, more than the politics. It's an important issue if we're going to have states where the average mom and dad wake up every morning and feel confident that they are living in a place where it's safe, and the elected officials and the police and the prosecutors are looking out for them and not the bad guys. I think Toscano is a disgrace and should be out of office.
Well, the politics of this are obvious, but what your viewers throughout the country probably don't know is the tremendous amount of vote margin that Fairfax provides for Democrats. And if you're going to go after Democrats in Fairfax, this and education, the declining education system in Fairfax, which was one of the gold standards in Virginia for the longest time, is quietly being talked about are the key problems in Fairfax County. They have a lack of economic growth. Their schools are not performing well. It is becoming increasingly poor. It is becoming increasingly dangerous in the eyes of a lot of folks out there. And Jason Miyares was an outstanding attorney general, and for him to make the case sitting alongside Toscano in the hearing itself is extraordinary. And the fact that it's not being covered very well by the press in Virginia is also one of the great untold stories about what's truly going on in Virginia. And this is where the press corps, in my estimation, is letting down the Commonwealth.
Jim Humgood, give us a man on the street view. I mean, we're all involved in this thing. We all watch it every day, including your son Dan, who's my producer. But you're basically home doing your thing, retired. I mean, when you look at this with your family, what is your reaction to this, Jim?
Well, it's one of the many problems with Abigail getting elected, because you knew, in spite of what she said, that Virginia was going to immediately become a sanctuary state again. And where do the criminals go? They go to sanctuary states, sanctuary cities. And we talked earlier about the 2030 census. The Democrats need these folks. The current estimate is they'll lose 10 to 12 seats in the next census, 4 in California, 4 in Texas, and several in other states. And as Joe said earlier, between Louisiana case and the reapportionment, you're looking at 20 to 30 seats moving from the Democrat side to the Republican side. So it's going to be very difficult for them to maintain control or have any hope of becoming a majority. But, it's tragic, and you think about the folks who are victims of this, and your heart breaks. And it just, they say, the illegals, most of them are good people and they're just here to work. But if you have a family member murdered by somebody who is not supposed to be in the United States, that's not something you get over readily. It's very difficult. And, it's an 80-20 issue, and it's also the reason the Democrats fight so hard against ICE, they need these people here. It's going to be a battle. It probably will depend who wins the presidency in 28 relative to how the count is done in 2030. Heaven help us if the Democrats regain the White House. The illegals will probably be counted in the census in 2030, or at least they'll certainly try to do that.
Well, right now that got put down, right, Saxman? They can't count the illegals in the census coming up in 2030. But if you look at the map right now, and then I'm going to open it up. I mean, 2 weeks ago, before Virginia, and Louisiana, the Republicans had zero chance of keeping the House. Zero times zero is zero. They had no chance. They only had to win like 2 seats. Now, by my count, you're going to get because of the Cayley decision in Louisiana. When it's all said and done, you're going to get 12. You take away the 4 they thought they had in Virginia. They have a 4-seat majority now. That's 16. The seat in Maine, 2nd District, LePage is up by 26, gone. Now you get to 17, and they're toast in the Campter seat in Ohio. She's down by 8. Campaign hasn't even started. She's gone. Now they're going to win like 18 seats. They went from a sure thing to I don't think they're going to win the House back, Saxman.
Well, when you look at the math of the maps, you can say that's a Democrat district, a Republican district. The problem, okay, that's fine. But what Republicans can't lose sight of right now is the simple fact that affordability and inflation are really hurting people still. And it's one thing to have these conversations. If Republicans don't change the conversation, they're still going to lose in the fall. You can't run at a 4% inflation rate saying you're going to help you run on inflation in 2024. And if that doesn't change, the people are going to go, I don't give a damn. Because what Jim was talking about is the same thing. If you're in Fairfax and you're talking about the Minter case, that's close to you. That's personal. It's more proximate. Nothing's more proximate than when you go to the gas station, you go $5 a gallon gas. What the hell are you talking about? So that's still politics. So Republicans are buying themselves some more time, but they have got to solve the problems of this country. And in my estimation, there's been a diversion, a distraction, and that they have got to get back on that winning message. And that's hurting the Democrats here in Virginia. They ran on affordability, but they're not doing it. And they can say we passed an affordability agenda. If it's not changing the affordability, it doesn't matter. The people are still going to show up and vote you out.
And Fredericks, let me just say this. The reason that Cayley is going to be hugely impactful in 2028, but 5 Republican states have already said, no, we're not going to tackle it right now, okay, and avail ourselves of the Supreme Court's ruling in Cayley, Louisiana versus Cayley now. So I don't think that's going to have a big impact in the midterms coming up. Also,
it's 12 seats, Joe. It's 12 seats.
Remember, in order to get those 12 seats, John, you've got to redistrict. And as I just said,
it's all getting done. No,
Joe,
that's you can give your opinion. You can't state the facts wrong, right? All of these are done. South Carolina's done. Missouri is done. Alabama is done. Florida is done. I mean, Tennessee is done. You add them all up, Joe, it's 12 seats. The only two southern states that put it off to 28 are Tate Reeves in Mississippi, who stabbed us in the back, typical what he does, and Brian Kemp in Georgia, who never does anything we ask him to do, and he's putting it off to 28. Other than that, all these seats are done in 26, every single one of them. And
I know the Louisiana seat is done. Let me ask this: Am I wrong when I say that 4 or 5 Republican legislatures said we're not going to tackle Cayley's right now?
No, you've only got 2 of them. You've got Georgia and you've got Mississippi, who said they were going to do it, and then the New York Times threatened Tate Reeves with a hit piece saying that he was a racist, and he folded like a cheap suit in the rain.
Okay,
that's it.
For full disclosure, I'm not related to him. Because I used to get emails for that guy. Seriously, get emails. Let me say this: what Saxman said is so true because I hear it all day long. Everybody goes to fill up. It's almost double what they used to pay. I think Trump's going to be pretty strategic. And if not, John, you need to tell POTUS he needs to open up the reserves by at least September, time for us to get the oil prices down and gasoline. That in itself will help. But the other part that I think if Republicans were truly smart right now, while they have the majority, is come up with a plan for immigration. And a workable plan for immigration that will allow common citizens to understand that if you're here illegally and you came in the country legally, there's a pathway for you. You got to pay that restitution. But if they solve that, we win.
John Reed, I'm going to give you the final word.
I agree that immigration is the key to this, and the president, since we've lost Virginia, should go in and tell these businesses, you got to get rid of immigrants on your payroll or we're going to fine the hell out of you. Make the business people do the dirty work so you don't have to send the ICE officers in. That's one way to leverage this and still accomplish what you need to do. We all have to obey the law, every one of us. And I expect that from this president and all of our elected officials.
Sounds like a good opening for the new John Reed show.
Okay, let's make it happen.
John, you got a phone. I think it dials out. You're on the John Fredericks Media Network. That's it for the Virginia gang. We want to thank our panelists, Jim Hobgood, Joe Morsey, taking the victory lap, baby. Go, Joe. Chris Saxman, who had to bounce. Senator Bryce Reeves, not related to the weasel backstabbing Tate Reeves in Mississippi.
Thank you.
And the one and only Johnny Reed. And my producer, Dan Hobgood. Dan, super job as always. Coming up next, Michael Patrick Leahy Live. I'll see you tomorrow, 9 to 11 a.m.